Hey there, everybody. In this video, I sat down and I got to talk and have a long conversation with Pixelbush. Some of you might know him as Will. Very nice conversations. It's not much of an interview. It's more of just a long form conversation about mutual hobbies, interests. We go over a lot of what the past year or two has had for the horror genre as a whole, for Dead by Daylight, and the future of horror, including game releases such as Silent Hill and Resident Evil. We also talk about some of our own interests, such as Magic the Gathering, the card game, which is towards the last third of this video. And we also talk a bit about what we want to see out of future content for movies going forward and games in the genre of horror. If you feel a little alienated by the topics, feel free to skip those bits. That was my phone. I'm not sure if I'm going to re-record this. But you're just, come and hang out with us and join in the conversation. There will be some images throughout to sort of help give a bit more detail or visualize what we're talking about. Since we didn't really explain a lot. This is not to be an interview to explain like every step of the way. I wanted to sit down, have a nice conversation with someone that I respect a lot in the community. And I hope you guys all enjoy it. Please enjoy the video. I will try to leave timestamps for larger segments in the description and in the pinned comment. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you enjoy the video. All right. I don't know if there should be like a formal start, because I was pretty adamant about thinking I don't want to make this like too formal. I just kind of want to have a conversation, but then also like, I don't want to just be like, oh yeah, here's this guy that I found on like YouTube or Discord, and I just pulled into a voice call.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess introduce yourself, because I mean there are people I do notice there's some people who don't know who you are, which I was like, okay, that's bullshit, but all right.
Well, I am a Pixelbush, Dead by Daylight lore guy, YouTuber, Twins enthusiast, and an avid list maker, as I'm sure you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
And it is excellent to be here.
Yeah, it's really nice to have you. I know I think the first time we actually talked like to each other was like on a podcast a long time ago.
Yes, it was the Fog Wanderers with Venom and Raffi.
Yeah, and also Tootin. I do remember Tootin was there as well.
Yes, Tootin was there. Yeah,
it's been a while since
I didn't.
Yeah. He's a nice guy. I do remember I felt I think because I remember when you I was like, oh cool, I get to talk to these people, and I felt really bad for you because like it was so late where you were. It went on for a long time too.
Yeah, well the irony now is my sleep schedule is so scuffed beyond mortal comprehension that this is now no longer a concern for me.
Yeah,
because that was like I that podcast ended at 5 a.m. my time.
Mm-hmm. I think so. It was like
so about 5 a.m. my time. I was barely conscious by the end. Mm-hmm. But the irony being, right now my sleep schedule is so ruined. I probably would just be able to power through anyway. I just wouldn't care.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I remember that was a pretty busy voice call. It went on for a while too.
It did, yeah. It was a good like 2.5 hours. If that's what it felt like.
I think it was 3.
Yeah, that checks out. Honestly, I was barely conscious at the time, so it was like, I'll take your word for it, I guess.
Oh, another thing. I know I said it to you before, but congrats on 40K subscribers, by the way. It's actually insane.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. Like it's hard to get perspective sometimes on YouTube because I'm around so many other creators, but so many of them are on Twitch, or like primarily on Twitch. So they have like hundreds of viewers in a stream, but have like 12 subscribers on YouTube. Yeah, so it becomes very hard to like get a sense of what to expect and what quantifies as like big or made it, quote unquote, for DBD YouTube, because it's relatively underexplored compared to Twitch.
I think a good qualifier of like considering when someone makes it, like whether it's you or somebody else, is if you say that person's name in like a community within that like space, like any like game or genre or something, and people, and at least like a couple people are like, oh yeah, I've seen that person, or like that's sort of, you're starting to get around. Or if they're like, oh yeah, I watch them, or I'm in their chat or something like that. I feel like that's a good qualifier of like, yeah, you made it. Like people recognize you by name.
Yeah,
Which
I think for me the first time where it really sunk in was when someone asked me to sign their profile on Steam.
oh really?
That was
That's super cool.
Yeah, that was very flattering. And also, like, hang on a minute, this isn't supposed to happen.
I know. There was what was it? There was I don't play DBD on PC a ton. I usually do it for PTBs, but I've been recognized like maybe once or twice. And I don't think I'm trying to remember. I think I was told once that that someone was trying to, what was it? Someone thought that like one of my like people in my Swift at the time was like Rare Earth Links in disguise, which he was like, you know, my concept collaborator on YouTube. And I was like, no, that I only ever really play DBD with the concept guys during anniversary streams.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But no, it's always a peculiar thing to get recognized. It doesn't happen terribly often, but it happens a decent amount. Especially because my name is the Law Guy, not Pixelbush on Steam.
Yeah.
So, like, generally, if they recognize me, it's because they've seen my name in the background of your video or something, or I've seen my stream or something.
Yeah, they'll recognize it, or even if they're in your Discord, because like that's your name in your Discord, right?
Yes,
just
it is.
Law Guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a weird experience because, I mean, like I don't really like full like transparency. I don't really get recognized for the concepts that much. It's mostly just icons, and or be like, oh, I've seen you on Twitter, which is like, oh man, that sounds bad.
It does.
Yeah. It sounds like, really bad.
In isolation, it sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that's it's so jarring because it's like you don't expect that kind of thing.
Yeah, because last thing is, I think the kind of DBD custom perk icon. I don't want to say community because there isn't really a community per se.
There's a community, but it's very quiet.
Yeah,
it's large, but it's quiet.
Yeah, but like, I think it'd be hard to talk about it and kind of the custom perk icon world in general without your name coming up very, very quickly.
I feel bad because anyone who uses or like interacts with like the toolbox, like which is like the main application people use to install icons, right, is like, because I have variations for each pack that's like on top of like, you know, the default looking icons, and there's like 3 of them for each. I feel bad that it's like a lot of them are just my name attached to things, and it's like I don't intend for that. I don't intend for it. And I've even I've tried just mentioning, hey, like to the creator Stabby, amazing person. I'm super thankful for all the help that he gives. I'll be like, hey, if it becomes a burden, I will take down like, you know, like one of the variations for each of the packs, because that takes up a lot of space or a lot of, you know, I don't want to feel like I'm basically overriding like the entire thing, right?
Yeah, you're monopolizing it.
Yeah, and it's I don't think it helps that I don't think that helps that my pearlescent pack is like, I think it's like the 6th most downloaded pack on the toolbox.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you know like how much any given pack gets used?
So okay, so I don't have a unique download notification. I also kind of wish that it had a feature to tell, because you can favorite packs, so you don't have to search them up every time. But it doesn't tell you how many people favorited it, because I would love that, because that's, you know, you can get an idea of like unique users. Unfortunately, that's not a thing, but I can see the downloads. If I pull it up real quick, actually. Yeah, so if I go to all packs, it is the 5th most downloaded pack, the pearlescent, which never started as a I literally uploaded it because I wanted to use them myself. This was just like a personal thing, and then people just really liked them. I do have to thank Nix, who took over maintaining it, because there was a point where I just kind of stopped interacting with DBD in general, and they've been doing a great job updating it.
Fantastic. Yeah, because I even need to update my packs because I haven't done so in ages, and I use a ton of yours. I use Pinhead. I used the Twins on, which originally I actually, if the listeners are not aware, I actually originally commissioned that one.
Yeah, that was actually a really fun commission because I love it when people give me references for icons.
Oh, I've done because whenever I commission art, don't do very often. To be fair, I always try and make the references interesting. But yeah, I use Twins, Pinhead, Sadako, Plague, and Elodie.
I'm trying to think. I don't think any of them have received an update recently, but I don't know when the last time you. Oh, Onryo got like 4 icons. I think that was from like a Zine I contributed to, and they were exclusive for a little bit of time, but they're out now.
Makes sense. I shall take a little look.
Yeah, I think one of them is the one I like out of that. I think was Rancor, which is just the angle from inside the well, looking up at the man, the silhouette of the man looking down.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
yeah. I shall 100% have to do that.
Yeah,
because I get asked all the time in my videos, oh, what's this perk? What's that perk?
Yeah,
and I
go ahead.
Like, and I did think about, and for a while I did just switch back to the normal icons to make it clear what I was using, but your icons are too cool not to use.
No, thank you.
It's that simple.
I know. I've known people who used mine and then went to the default just because like some were like fairly large streamers or people who had a sizable following, and it was a constant question, and it became more more of a burden than it was like, oh yeah, this is a thing that I have. So they were just kind of like, it makes it easier. And then also there's that Twitch extension that reads your loadout.
Yes.
So you can hover over it. That was another thing that I conflicted with a lot, which I was like, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
What was it? There was I wanted to go back to the references you gave me for the Twins pack, because I don't think I've ever had anyone just like Photoshop themselves for references. And I'm pretty sure I still have them. I mean, I could edit them on screen if you're cool with that. Just like a couple.
Go for it. I'm honestly really proud of them.
Yeah, no.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, like it's nice like to get that kind of reference because I know exactly what the person wants. And then when it's just like, I think the only other time was when somebody that I'm friends with was like, hey, I want an icon, and I was like, okay. And then I was like, what were you thinking of? And they like turned their webcam on and was like posing and was like, I want it like to look like this. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that works.
That's the thing. I can't abide in precision when it comes to basically anything. Like, I always like to try and be as clear as possible.
Yeah.
And for this, I thought, you know what? Let's have some fun. I could just do stick figures, but I'm gonna try and do. I'm gonna try and get this looking exactly right, and maybe give Wheat a love in the process.
Yeah, those were super fun to do. I'm personally not a huge Twins fan, but I did enjoy drawing Charlotte a lot. Actually, I did like how those turned out, and I think there was a point a while ago. This might have been like a few months. I want to say a few months, but it's probably like ages ago, where I touched a lot of them up just to make sure they were a little more consistent.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Like the one that I initially earmarked for Lethal became I'm All Ears. I remember that. That's what I remember. And then
I like to try to have a consistent visual identity throughout icons. Like, oh, it kind of makes sense that this would be here. There's a couple icons still out there that I want to swap around, but I don't like moving an icon without giving something to replace it. Like,
I noticed that.
I do know Twins. There's a couple icons I do want to do for them, but I'm not sure when I'll get around to it. One thing that does help is when they get like tomes and lore, then I can use that as inspiration. There was also, what was it? I did want to bring up, because I know I want to kind of I wanted this to like flow naturally, but I did want to mention this before I completely like slipped my mind. I wanted to ask you about what is like. So there's always the question like, oh, what's your dream chapter for Dead by Daylight, right? No one's ever asked that question before. But I wanted to ask you: is there a chapter that you heard someone else say they wanted as a dream chapter that you didn't consider or you didn't like think about that like really turned you on the idea, like someone else's dream chapter, right?
I'm trying to think now
Is there
because
anything like that?
so many people have pitched them to me since the start of the
Yeah,
especially since the start of the Pledged and Problem series. Especially since the start of
I
that.
know the feeling. I get emails like
Yeah,
monthly at least.
yeah. I honestly think. This gets really, really difficult now. I remember a friend of mine actually at the local game store back where I played Magic actually suggested Warhammer. And I
Oh,
was like, hang on a minute.
yeah, no, that's
Hang on
interesting.
a mother humping minute. Maybe actually. Because I had a bit of a think about it, and what defines like Warhammer, especially 40k, Age of Sigmar's a little bit different now, but and also the old school fantasy was this blending of like cosmic horror and dark fantasy.
Yeah.
And that's something that DBD has visited several times, both in like mostly with original stuff, like look at the Night, and then before that, look at the Oni. Both of these kind of blend horror and fantasy or mythology.
It also
And I
feels
think,
like, just as a quick note, it feels inevitable that we're going to get some sort of space or sci-fi theme thing, whether original or licensed. It just feels inevitable.
Yeah. That's actually why I recently did the video about Alien, and I'm working on Predator right now, because I want to talk about. I've actually been talking to a Doctor Who YouTuber about this, about why DBD has been so reluctant to make original sci-fi stuff so far, and like the problems that had, and especially comparing it to VHS, where their first monster post early access was Deathwire.
It definitely,
because it is very interesting. I have a long and complicated theory about it, but
it's definitely feels like, because like VHS's initial like pitch is it is the 80s. Like, you know, what do you think about when you go to the video rental store? I was actually talking about this in the voice call the night before, where I said I'm glad to have been just old enough to remember going down to Hollywood Video or Blockbuster and renting a VHS or something, because that is like genuinely a unique experience you don't get anymore, like at all.
Yeah.
And even when they replicate it on like on TV, it feels very very weird because it doesn't feel right.
That checks out. The way I've always thought of VHS is as a homage. Like, it's what makes Deathwire work, because Deathwire is not meant to be like a serious interpretation of sci-fi. It's a kind of tongue-in-cheek homage to it.
Yeah, it's got the whole like spectator arena angle. It's got like this like super patriotic angle to it too, which feels very like 80s robot, right?
It really does.
Like American
very...
robot bleeds red, blood, and blue.
Yeah, like the fact that it was Usain Bolt posing in the teaser trailer should say everything you need to know. Everything it needs to say. But sorry.
No, go for it. Sorry.
No, this is why I think that VHS can make sci-fi work very easily, but DBD can't, because DBD would need to play it with a relatively straight face, and because the kind of rules and confines of the world of DBD have been kind of very close to kind of realistic with loads of cosmic horror mythology stuff. It would either need to be so like mundane that it would be like maybe 20 minutes into the future. We're talking like maybe Terminators is probably about as fantastical as they could go, unless they full sent into cosmic horror and went, okay, we're doing like Event Horizon style stuff.
Yeah, Event Horizon feels very outlandish term for DBD.
But I'm meaning more as an original chapter drawing on it as inspiration. Like, I could see a DBD original chapter inspired by, say, Terminator, or even like Megan, if we're going to use something brand new, or something as wild out there as Event Horizon, but not something like, say, Star Wars that's in the middle.
Yeah,
that middle territory. That middle territory, that space opera middle territory, just I don't think would work, because it requires a lot more world building and like set establishment of rules, when DBD spent 6 years establishing its own rules already. So either you need to play within those rules, or just go full send into cosmic horror, and make the fact that it's outside the rules part of the point.
Yeah, it's also like it's one that feels like a trap essentially, because like the way I see it is that regardless of like they could like release like some of the coolest like sci-fi type of setup in the lore for if it's even if it's just the killer or even just the survivor, and it's like, oh, this is so interesting, but like when are they going to they what opportunities would they have to explore it within their own like narrative? Like entity going to space seems kind of weird because like there's no other characters that go to space or do these like futuristic things. There's like that theory I remember seeing a while back, or even people talking about it, that like Yui was like supposedly from like 5 years in the future, which I don't think really went anywhere. I think that was just
I have no idea about that.
I think that was just like, oh, there's neon lights everywhere. Oh, they got to be in the future.
Absolutely, like neon lights. That's a cyberpunk reference.
Exactly. Everything is cyberpunk.
Yeah.
It's it feels inevitable, but I feel like it won't be original first. If anything, they would test the waters with like a licensed chapter or something.
I'd argue they already have because of Resident Evil.
That's true.
RE fits that kind of like terrestrial sci-fi with all the world building work done for them because there's a game series spanning 15, 20 years. And I think, yeah, I think licensed sci-fi is way easier to do because it has done all that world building work for you.
Mm.
All it needs to do is just look like the thing everyone recognizes, and they'll soy face at it.
Oh yeah, like as long as it looks like the thing that I recognize, then it's like, oh, that's amazing. That's actually something. That's another thing I wanted to ask. When like I know obviously the easy like jab and or assumption is that you would new thing comes out, new chapter, new concept, or not concept, new mid chapter, new chapter lore, whatever. Just content comes out, and I'm sure the expectation is that everyone expects you to like be like super into like the content of the lore and everything. But is there like something that you prefer more than the lore? Because I mean, you are the lore guy, but I don't want to say that that's like the thing that you usually get most excited about, right? Like I don't get the most excited about icons every time they come out.
Yeah. Like, I think lore maybe isn't quite the right word. I think that what I'm excited about is character expression. Like, that's why I think Pinhead was such a massive success, at least in my eyes. Because Pinhead's character that we knew from Hellraiser is communicated by animations, sound design, little like visual quirks with the UI, things like that. Exceptionally. It's done so well. Even though the actual like story that he has is like a post-it note.
Oh yeah,
you could tweet it, and it doesn't matter because the way the character is expressed is phenomenal. Like I am all about character. I am a big character guy, and any time where like character is communicated, like textually or otherwise, I'm all over that. I'm so all over that.
Yeah, it's really nice to see like even like I wasn't a massive Hellraiser fan when Pinhead was revealed and they added him to the game, but I was super appreciative of the fact that they went to such lengths to obviously take care about introducing this character into the game in a way that worked and was unique to that character.
Oh, absolutely. Like, even just little things, like the music that plays when you're holding the element configuration, or the fact that when a survivor is solving it, you get a unique killer instinct that looks like the element configuration. Yeah. It's all these little things that just... Or the bong sound when the cube spawns. Like, all of these little things that just... It shows that this was their dream license, and we know it was. We know this was the one chapter they were like, we really want to have Pinhead.
There's so many like old interviews with like Mathieu Cote of saying like, I want Pinhead, like even saying I know what we would do, and I fully believe that. I 100% believe that because they wore their love for horror on their sleeves, like especially for old horror. I think their best chapters, or at least the ones that they really cared about, are like the ones that have like the original like content of those like licenses. Like even though like Bubba was like rushed, which like has plenty of evidence to support it at the time because of their scheduling with it. Like they clearly wanted this character to be as close to embody who Bubba was.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the other example I draw to that was Silent Hill, because Pyramid Head, let's put it this way, before DBD, Pyramid Head's last render of the actual character of Pyramid Head was like mid 2000s.
Oh yeah, it was also post movie Pinhead, not Pinhead. Pyramid.
Absolutely, yeah. It was. They had a huge task to turn a game that nowadays, if it released, would look like shovelware because it was so old, and that really shows its age, both better or worse, and update it to DBD. They did a phenomenal job with it. Like, look at Midwich. That map is gorgeous.
It's a very pretty map, and it makes me really wish for Silent Hill 1 remake so badly.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the reasons, I think, why Behavior and Konami are working together on Silent Hill. Is it Ascension? It is Ascension they're working on together.
Yeah, it's Ascension.
Because, like, it's very obvious now that Behavior can handle Konami's IP respectfully. Arguably more so than Konami themselves can if we look at Silent Hill's history.
Yeah, that's why they're outsourcing to different studios, which is something that people wanted for a long time.
And then one finger on the monkey's paw curls.
Yeah, the monkey's paw. Here's the thing. I'm actually incredibly excited for Townfall. I don't know if you're familiar with I think it's Townfall. It's it's not F. It's the one where they had like the beach shot and the water washed over the text in that teaser. The devs the writers on that game are the writers from a game called Stories Untold. I don't know if you've played that.
I have not.
I believe it's an indie game by technicality. It's a very small short game. It's a narrative driven game. That I got a chance to play with a friend of mine, I think about a year or two ago. It's very nice. It's a very cool, good sense of horror. And it's got some really strong narrative beats that I thought resonated really well for what they were going for. So I'm incredibly excited with what they're going to do inside of a Silent Hill canon, especially if it means they don't have to. I think Silent Hill works honestly really well if you don't work with the rules, but you find ways to push against them in a that makes sense in your context, right? Like an anthology type of thing.
Yeah, like I'd even say that's one of the few elements I really enjoyed about Homecoming. It's dangerous to say that I enjoyed elements of Homecoming. It's a dangerous thing to say about I enjoyed parts of Homecoming.
Yeah,
but that's one of the parts of Homecoming I'm like, I'm really pleased with that, and I'm looking. Is it weird to say I'm looking forward to all of the Silent Hill stuff that's coming? Like.
I don't think it's bad to be optimistic. It's people have been burned for so long that it's hard to trust when the hand finally reaches out.
Yeah, like I'm not necessarily hyped for it. I'm not pumped for it. But when it does come, I expect it to be at least like okay. Yeah. And okay, Silent Hill content is still Silent Hill content, you know.
Yeah, no, I'll be happy to get like new Silent Hill content. Like I mean, I'm a huge fan of Silent Hill 2, but like I'm not nearly as excited for Silent Hill 2 as I am of like like Silent Hill F and Townfall. And I mean, I think Ascension is gonna be like some mobile game from like the trailer with like the fake Discord messages.
Yeah,
but like I'm still interested in like what that is. It could be. Yeah, my theory is it's gonna be a VR game where you look into like the other world through your phone.
I haven't even really thought of what it's gonna be. Yeah, but that makes total sense. That wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me at all if that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, like also Behavior isn't a stranger to mobile experiences either. They did that. They advertised. I think it was like some festival in Canada. Like they did a VR experience or something that you could download. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was released during lockdown. And it was like you could experience like this one part of the city like from your phone. I don't know. It was a while ago, but it seems like it would make sense because they had another studio as well on that list that I can't remember the name of.
It's like 4 studios I think that are working on Ascension.
Who knows? They obviously had Silent Hill 2 ready to reveal. They were just ready to do their whole.
Oh yes, it's Bad Robot.
Bad Robot. Not.
Yeah, which I believe is J.J. Abrams.
Is it?
Bad Robot. Yeah. The chair of Bad Robot is J.J. Abrams.
Wow.
Right. I just checked it now. Right. So that's a strange pair of bedfellows, J.J. Abrams and Behavior.
Yeah, it's very interesting. The Silent Hill's general direction is curious because it's not that they're banking on Silent Hill 2 being a success, although I do think that it hinges a lot on that remake. Um, but they already are willing to make all these other projects and just see what works.
Yeah,
Which is why they probably held off so long announcing something. Because if it was one at a time, none of these things would have happened.
Yeah, and like, say they did it one at a time, and then one of them like flopped. That would may negatively affect the other. But if they're not all coming at once, there's going to be something that works, right? He says with a due sense of dread.
Well, what they did is they said, "Hey, Silent Hill 2 is coming out. Like that's for sure. It's in development. We're working on it, and like we've had leaked images and stuff that confirm all but confirmed it. That like how like where it is long in development." And all that, and then they're like, we're also working on these, and they listed like very high like talent profile, like talent, just like writing or just general studios, and that there's also the Silent Hill movie, Return to Silent Hill, which is going to be based on on two's plotline, which is interesting to say the least.
Yeah, that's the part I'm least excited for, just because I don't have any love for Silent Hill movies. It's not even the first one. I see people praising the first one. I'm like, why?
It's one of those things that like it's not that like, oh, the only person who can like always ends up sounding like the only person who can handle these stories is this Team Silent. Like there's people who there's the crowd that really doesn't want anyone else to touch this like IP or the content. But it's also like it needs to be treated with care because of what it really what it says. Is why my biggest concern is like I kind of played it up for a meme when they revealed it, but like when it was like Team Bloober is doing Silent Hill 2, I wasn't excited about the prospect or the rumor when it was going around, but I was like, okay, whatever. And I lived in a world where before I realized Team Bloober is going to be in charge of reproducing the Angela storyline from 2, and I was just like, I know they said that they're not going to mess with the story, but like they're adding a lot more emotion and emotiveness into the story. I'm not excited about that part because it's not something that it's not a story element that is easy to be like, oh, we should nudge this a little bit. That'd be bet for the best.
No, you can't mess with it. You just can't.
Yeah, the strangeness of the characters helped make the situation just like weirdly grounded in the original.
Yeah, because I at least of course I'm worried about Bloober to some degree. But I'm at least fairly sure that what is it? The Konami are going to be breathing down their necks because again, if there is a flagship product, it's this one.
Yeah.
And if Bloober messes it up, Konami are going to skin them alive.
Yeah.
So I at least hope that there's enough scrutiny from Konami on Bloober to control their urge to ruin everything forever.
I know there's that tweet that I every time I see it, I retweet it. It's like Bob's vid tweet where he talks about like every time I think about Bloober doing Silent Hill, or it's like somebody says like Bloober can't mess up Silent Hill. They always think about this one clip of Germa finding the trigger for the kid in Layers of Fear. The kid ghost like hitting their head on the shelf, and you just like walk back and forth over this like 1 inch, and you just have this constant stream of ghost kids going ah, and then they and fade into non-existence.
Just know that tomorrow morning before school you're gonna be mad because you didn't take a bath. I think I'm gonna die on camera. I think I'm gonna die on camera.
I always end up thinking about that when I'm like, yeah, Bloober Silent Hill.
Yeah, I think Bloober can mess it up, but I just don't think Konami's gonna let them.
Yeah, because if they change they can't change too much of the story elements. Like I find it impossible. It's the emotiveness that is my main concern. Because like I don't mind them emoting more. I've come around a lot on James being much more emotive and like more aged, I guess, in his appearance.
Yeah,
Even though I kind of liked James and Mary being more of a younger couple. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe that's just me looking too much at the high definition pores they have on every character model now. Everyone looks like they're old, unless you're a free to play game with a battle pass. Then everyone looks like they're 20.
Very true.
Oh, man. But
Silent Hill's going to be an adventure. It's almost weird to think that Silent Hill is effectively back. It doesn't feel real.
Strange, right? It's very weird.
It should feel bigger than it is. It feels like it should be some massive event, and it's just sort of like, and it was accompanied by just Silent Hill fans screaming, just demanding that it stop, because
like all these projects, you're diluting the brand, and it's. I would be in that camp if, from what the other things I saw, didn't look promising as hell, like creatively. Like if you showed me like another Silent Hill game and the trailer just had like another custom like corn song playing over it or whatever, then I would have been like, I'm not into it. Like, get me out.
Yeah. Well, like even worst case scenario, can it really be worse than the only Silent Hill content that we get outside of like occasional crossovers being a pachinko machine?
Yeah, don't you want to pull the lever?
Let's be real. You're not driving the brand much lower than that without just, I don't know, like tattooing it on Philip Schofield's face.
Yeah. Part of the thing is that despite no matter what happens with Konami, if they do mess it up, like they were great ones. Oh, Silent Hill 2 original, or like even like Silent Hill 1 and 3. Oh, they're so good. They used to be amazing. They had all these other games too. They still have that. Yeah. They have, sure, the modern value of it is low, but it honestly drives up the nostalgic value even higher.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the future Silent Hill, man, it's a very strange thing to think about. That like that's back. And it's not just in a we're gonna re-release the game or whatever. It's a full on we're doing this while also expanding the IP, which is honestly I think the best decision that they've made, because
4 new projects and a new movie. Like, why not?
Yeah, they had a lot to share. That was actually really surprising. I was shocked by that. I thought it was gonna be like Silent Hill 2, and then maybe like honestly, I wish they kind of made a novel. I'm not gonna lie, I'd love to read a Silent Hill novel.
Yeah, as would I.
Even if they just were like, we're gonna make a novelization of like 1 and 3 together, or like Silent Hill 2, I would read it.
Like I want to read about Cheryl's life after the Silent Hill 3.
Yeah,
because like hearing a little bit of like DBD's version of Cheryl made me care about the character again in a way that I hadn't since I first played Silent Hill 3. Because full disclosure, that's my favorite Silent Hill game is 3. I think 2 has the best story, but I think 3 is overall the best game. And like, which is because I think Cheryl's a fantastic protagonist. And seeing her again in DBD and reading her story was like, I wish we got something more closure for her from Konami, but we just kind of haven't.
One thing that's really interesting about, because like, you know, you'd expect out of the licensed characters, like, they just have like a simple little blurb about their character or whatever.
Yeah.
But like Cheryl got a full on, like, she went on to work. I believe she worked at a self-help like a help hotline or something like that, right?
Yeah, a suicide hotline.
Yeah, and that's just like full on there, and it's like that feels like really like appropriate to her character being like just very like helpful to people, despite the way she ended. She despite how she kind of had this very like rebellious sort of not rebellious. I'm trying to think of a better word for it, but like the way she kind of interacted with the world around her. But like by the end of Silent Hill 3, she kind of grew to appreciate it a little bit more, especially through the detective that I'm blanking on his name, and he talks a little bit about his son.
Yeah, like she had a bit of belligerence at the start that she kind of lost over time, and she's kind of cooled down post Silent Hill 3, and it makes it, and I just want to see, because apparently the original they did plan to have her return in a later title, but I would very much like to see the official take on what happened to Cheryl post Silent Hill 3. Especially because most Silent Hill protagonists end up making it out alive.
I just thought of like the most cursed thing possible, like end of Silent Hill 2, whatever. You get like the James leaves ending, and then he gets to like the side of the road, and he's just like, "Who are you?" And it's like Cheryl, and then she doesn't say anything. Like it's a slow pan in. You hear music build up, and she turns, looks over her shoulder, smiles, and then you just hear, "What I've done." It's the Transformers ending. It's like I'll face myself.
In the middle of the game's end credits.
Yeah, exactly. You get your like Avengers like cameo at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. You have
so
to
funny.
do it.
I love the idea of like I made a tweet about this like the other day as of the recording of this, because I'm probably gonna edit it and upload it whenever. But I made a tweet about like horror games will like end on this like most tragic, sad, beautiful, like kick you while you're down ending, and then it'll transition to the end credits, and it's like the Crazy Frog song.
Ding, ding.
or like it will have something ridiculous like going on by comparison. And that was prompted by me finishing Devotion. If you've never heard or played that game.
I played Devotion.
I love that game a lot.
It is a banger.
It's very, and the ending song didn't have to go that hard. I've been listening to that like a lot.
Yeah. Yes. Speaking of franchises kind of reviving the past, Resident Evil 4 remake is really soon, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So like I'm not a huge Resident Evil fan, but like every time I think about it, it's like all these like big names are like coming back, and it feels like it's not as big as it should be. I think it's more people are being cautiously optimistic about these things, because like in the current state of remakes or reboots of properties is kind of not super confident, or if it's sometimes even in bad faith. Like if we take Last of Us Part 1, that remake that they basically the remake slash remaster again of the first Last of Us game, where they updated models and like a bunch of like I would say the overall style of the game. It came out at $70. I've heard that it's a great remake, but it's very pointless.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. No, I maybe I'm just poisoned by optimism because of how many good like Lego sequels and remakes and stuff of horror movies have come out recently. They've actually been really good. Yeah. Maybe I'm just poisoned by optimism from all of those. Like, look at 2022, we had Scream came back. We had Halloween End, which I think is still chronically underrated. We had Hellraiser come back. Like, and all of these are really good. Texas Chainsaw also exists.
I keep forgetting that. I keep forgetting about 2022.
Candyman. It was 2021 as well. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But it all came about because of Halloween 2018. Really, everyone was like, "Oh man, people really do care about these old IPs that are just kind of laying around." All right, let's just let's make money off of what we got, and thankfully,
bring them all back.
For the most part, they got people that cared about these things.
Yeah. And Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, and Texas Chainsaw. Oh, that was
it's such a sore thumb in a year that had Prey and like. Oh my God, Prey. We had our first good Predator sequel ever. How?
That movie.
In the same year as Texas Chainsaw.
I watched Prey. So I watched Prey, and I watched it in the Comanche dub because I actually remember exactly the steps I took as like watching Prey as it was getting announced and developed, like in the news, where it's like, oh, they're announcing Fox is announcing a straight to Hulu new Predator movie. I'm like, okay, cool. It's gonna take place in a Native American tribe, and I was like, that sounds like a really bad idea. Just considering the history of like how just indigenous people around the world are usually treated in media as less of a people or culture and more of a plot device, right? Where it's sort of like it's similar in vein to sort of a King Kong-esque effect, right? Where
I get it.
Yeah, it sucks, but like more things came out where it's like it has a very heavily native cast. they also like almost pretty much everyone other than like the French trappers in the movie, and like I think maybe one or two other people maybe are native Comanche people. Like it's the actual tribe. Not to mention when they announced it, it's like, oh, it's gonna be based on the real life tribe, and it's like that sounds like another red flag. But then as more news came out and they're like, they're making a free Comanche dub of the entire movie, voiced by the original actors. And I was like, okay, I'm all on board. I want to know what this is about.
Because it was either going to be really good or howlingly terrible.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just going to be a mid film like say Predator 3. It was it was always going to be a make or break, and I'm so glad it was good. I am so chronically glad it was
incredibly curious because it's like the I have such a bone to pick with the ending of it, where it's like the Raphael Adolini's pistol, and because it's like the timeline, it's very weird. Because like the pistol, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the comics for Adolini.
I am.
Yeah, it's like he gives it to the Predator. It's not the same Predator because the Predator from Prey, it's his first time. It's that Predator's first time on Earth, which is why it's like working itself up the food chain and discovering what's a challenging hunt. And then the pistol ends up in this one guy's hands, and then people assumed that it was that guy is Raphael Adolini, which only got worse when I'm not sure where he got it, but I know James A. Janice from Dead Meat said it was in his kill count for it, and I was like, oh, if that's wrong, that's gonna mess a lot of people up.
Yeah.
But like, and then it's one of those things. It's like I love everything about the movie, but this like ending makes no sense for the pistol. Like it's a cool reference, but like it stops being cool when like for people like me who are dumb and like to obsess over that detail.
Yeah, like I think the obvious answer that they give you is the comics aren't canon, but that doesn't really.
But Raphael,
help.
like
yeah,
it doesn't Raphael really be canon. That shit was awesome.
Yeah, this might be controversial, but I think Prey's better than the original. This might be controversial, but what do you think about that?
I think it's 100% better. I think the original is a better introduction to the Predator as a creature, but Prey is in my opinion, it's like tied with the original for like.
Prey's a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, it's very good. It's got an incredible lead. I was just very excited.
I really hope Amber Midthunder goes on to have a long and successful career in whatever the hell she wants to do, because holy shit, she was brilliant.
I'm hoping Prey also opens opens opportunities for more accurate representation of indigenous people. Just because like also where I live, we have like a lot of towns and cities named after modified or this like tribe names. And so while I'm not super familiar with the cultures around here, it's very hard for me to think that it's not impossible for people just to do a little research or just try to get in touch with these like communities and be more accurate with these kinds of things. And there was also what was it? I'm honestly, there's a part of me that was kind of like, I was worried that Prey was going to have way too many references to the original, and it didn't feel distracting when it did reference it. It felt natural.
Like I think that was a very logical thing to fear, given what the last few Predator films have been like in terms of
Shane Black's
how much they.
Is a nightmare.
You've just given me tapeworms.
Yeah, reminded me of that. I have a fun fact about that. So me and a good friend of mine, for a while we were just marathoning movie series, like when a new movie came out, and then we would watch the new movie. We did that with Batman. We watched all the theatrical live action Batman movies, and then we watched Robert Pattinson's Batman. We did that with Saw when Spiral came out, which also changed a lot of how we viewed the series. Like both of us were like, "Oh, this is what we think is the best Saw movie, and this is like the worst." And then a lot of that got rearranged because we went back with like a more critical lens and be like, "Wow, this one's not actually as good as we thought it was."
Oh, I'm gonna. Don't get me started on Saw because I will literally talk for hours and you can't stop me.
It's fine.
Stop it quickly.
We did it with Predator, and I'm personally a Predator 2 apologist. I think Predator 2 is fun. I think it's not good.
I think that's actually a fair assessment. I wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah. And so like when we were watching it, we didn't skip. The only movie out of all those things that we did skip is I didn't want to watch Batman versus Superman, but that's just because I had like so little interest in the movie that like even though I basically slept through like one of the Dark Knight trilogy movies because I wasn't interested in it. It was like very slow for me. I still watched all these movies, and I was like, oh great, I'm gonna have to watch The Predator. And we even watched we even ruled that I believe Alien vs Predator and Alien vs Predator 2 counted on the Predator movie list, so we watched those. So we went Predator, Predator 2, Alien vs Predator, Alien vs Predator 2 Requiem, and then we went Predators. And then I had to dread going, okay, now we have to watch The Predator, and I go to like Hulu, and it's like, nope, you have to have a cable subscription to watch this movie. And never before have I felt a relief go over me. And my friend, she was like, what? Because she was just so ready for me to suffer. And I was like, yes! And immediately I clicked the next movie, and it was Prey, and I loaded it up so we could watch that. Because that was going to be the last movie we watched that night.
That's perfect. That's
I was like, oh, I have to wait until tomorrow to watch Prey. But nope, you got to watch it that night.
That is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
I already watched Prey at that point. I watched it before, but it was her first time watching it. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It feels like maybe it's just because like I've been paying more attention to it like in recent years, but like horror has gotten like some crazy good quality stuff lately.
It really has.
Like it feels strange to like have this kind of good fortune with like even just original or remakes or continuation type projects.
Yeah. Like I think people can look back in 2022 as probably one of the 21st century's best years for horror. I'd say comparable only with 2004. 2004 being the year that brought us, I think, it brought Saw and a bunch of other stuff. Did it bring Hostel that year? Oh, 2004.
That kind of checks out because that was like when.
Oh yeah, Alien vs Predator 2004. And Shaun of the Dead, and Creep, and Hellboy.
Oh man, Hellboy.
Like. That was a good year for horror.
Oh yeah.
And I'd say 2022 contends with that handily in terms of quality.
Oh man, yeah, it's very exciting. Like it's I mean I there's been times like, man, I'm really bad. I depended a lot on like friend recommendations of like movies or stuff. Like I almost missed out on Malignant. Like I mention this every time I think about Malignant, but I almost missed out on Malignant. Because a friend of mine was like, hey, do you want to go to the theaters and see this with me? See this? And I was like, not really. And I didn't look into anything about it. I was like, I don't really have. I think at the time I was like, I don't have money to go see a movie in a theater, even one that I haven't heard about, like no marketing at all. And he was like, okay, well it's on HBO or Hulu or whatever it was. And I was like, okay, well we can watch that and stream it there. First time winning completely blind, and I had such a good time with Malignant. I know there's people who don't like a movie. I loved Malignant. I was super into it.
Anybody who doesn't know that movie, I will fight them.
Yeah,
come Cowshed 1v1. I will get you.
I think I don't think I can count on both hands how many people I've ended up getting into Malignant or even giving it a shot because I kept saying it and I kept mentioning it and I was like, oh, this is great. My same friend that I marathoned all those movies with, she became like a huge fan of Malignant, especially Gabriel, when I was like, oh, you have to see this. I think you're gonna love it. And she was like, okay, and like watched it, and it's like we constantly send that gif of Gabriel throwing the chair across the room.
Oh, it's so good. Like I'm exactly the same. I have like preached from the cult of Malignant to my friends so many times. It is not even funny. Like there's a reason I showed it in my Discord in the movie nights 3 separate times now.
I wish I was there for it. I wanted to be there for it.
And did the video on it. And I did my video on it. Like when my picture problems Gabriel. Because I love that film so and it's why I was so hyped for Megan. Because it's a Kayla Cooper again.
Yeah. Okay.
Like how is that not just the best?
Oh, I think Malignant especially, it felt like such a movie that was like there's such a clear vision of just having fun with horror without it being like the main draw isn't like, oh, it's so gory or it's so scary. It's like this is just a fun thing. The monster is like just like a unique Like it's not like some like crazy like CG demon or whatever. It's like a very. I love Malignant so much. I don't want to spoil the twist, even though the movie's been out for like what, like 2 years, 2-3 years.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I'm exactly the same. I will not spoil it.
And it's like it's so cool to have something that's like new that you can go into. You can laugh at, and it won't ruin the movie for you because it's so like it's not. It's like so funny. There's so many like line deliveries that I think are hilarious, and the way the music kicks in on certain lines. There's the one I'm thinking specifically when Maddie and I can't remember her name, the sister. They're on the bed and she says something, and it goes to the shock face.
Yeah.
What's also hilarious is that I knew where the movie took place because it was raining, and it's Seattle. It's always raining in Seattle. If it's not raining, it just rained the day before. I also remember having to explain to a friend that the Seattle Underground, which is like the layer of city underneath Seattle, is a real place you can go to. Like they do tours there. Like that's not like a made up thing. Like I guarantee you they shot and filmed made a set like looked like a part of the Seattle Underground.
Yeah, in the catacombs somewhere.
Yeah.
I will sing the praises of Malignant until my dying breath. It's why I'm so ready for Megan. But there's one thing I'd like to ask you before I forget. Now on the topic of like horror licenses, horror like franchises you're passionate about. Mm-hmm. If you could like mind control Rareth Links and the other members of the concept team into making a chapter concept video, which one would you pick?
So, like, if you're saying if I like had the full run of things and I could make like the entire thing I wanted,
if you demand of Rareth from the others,
temptation because I think it's such a cool, it's a cool design, it's a cool animation is just in concept, and I don't know if it would be Malignant because I have such a like deep love for like the original My Bloody Valentine movie.
Oh.
And it's like I love that movie. I have a version of it always in my Google Drive. Like I will just sometimes just boot it up and watch it, and it's the restored footage version too. So it has like the really cool like makeup effects with like the really shitty grain on the film because it's not well taken care of. It's that Malignant, or there's a part of me that's been thinking a lot about Hotline Miami lately.
I've seen people suggesting that as well. Like a couple of my mods are really passionate about it, and I've never touched it myself. I don't know anything about
it. It's a very interesting thing. So like a lot of people who played it and were like, oh yeah, cool violent game. It's a puzzle game as well. It's a very neat game. 2 is little on the fence because of people's opinions. I'm a little on the fence about it, but I like a lot of what it was doing. Just not mechanically, like narratively, I like what it was doing. It's a very interesting story game where the narrative is about the dangers of like nationalism, and it's interesting to engage with that, I think. And also Jacket's just a really interesting protagonist as well. There's some great visuals. I know I did a concept forever ago, and my idea was like, because like, a lot of people would say, oh, the power should be you can change your masks because that's like a main thing you can do as a character. You can change masks and before you start a level, and you get different abilities or bonuses based on it. Like you can have one that makes it so you can't pick up weapons, but your fists are lethal.
Oh,
that one's always fun. There's and my idea was less the masks are change your power. Your power is sort of like a very simple layer or 2 of cake, and then the add-ons are all modular and affect a certain part of the power, but they don't stack. So you can basically build your own power out of it using like
I like that a lot.
And it's not like a flawless concept. I actually have no idea how they would like even put it in the game because base Jacket would be like probably not that good.
Now, I always love the idea of lots of little transformative add-ons. I think it's why I like things like Freddy's Dream Palettes, and it sounds like a really sick idea for a power. I can't like give a more thought-out response to that because again, I've never played Hotline Miami. I know nothing about it, but it sounds like you have thought this through, and it's certainly something I've heard other people as well that they'd be big interested in that.
It's interesting because it's like I think Behavior should consider indie representation in their game, like because there's so much indie horror out there, or even just like and it's not, Hotline Miami isn't necessarily horror. It's gory, it's violent, but it's got some really interesting sort of like horror adjacent details about it. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that like I keep returning to in my mind that I think about. Like I mean, to answer your actual question about like, you know, if I could control everybody and make my own chapter, I think it would depend on what day you ask me, but like right now it'd be Hotline Miami or it would be Malignant.
Honestly, I'm glad you gave an answer that wasn't Malignant, because on one hand, you know I love Malignant,
I think we talked about very happy on that first podcast.
and I'm very happy to bang on about it as long as you want. Mm-hmm. But also, Malignant was kind of the obvious answer that I expected. Yeah. So hearing Hotline Miami get floated as well was fantastic.
It's one of those things that like, because I'm always ending up like, you know, it's either concepts for the team that I have to think about, because like. But before, like, for context, before SCP, like that whole ship debacle, like really messed us up, which was really unfortunate. We had concepts, like I had designs and like a bunch of other things planned out well ahead of it. Like I think by the time we were about to finish the FNAF spotlight video, we already were planning to do Pennywise or Slender, and we kind of just rolled the dice on which one we wanted to do next. And I already had like a base design ready for that next one, and then once that design was locked in, before any like footage was recorded or any dialogue was recorded for the Pennywise video, I was already pretty much almost finished with the Slender design, or I was nearly done with the design document. Like we were like super ahead on a bunch of stuff for like designs. SCP was actually going to be like our last big one. We would do smaller concepts after that. But we had an idea of like doing a huge thing about it, like kind of going out with a bang sort of thing.
Yeah, and then you got cock blocked.
Very last second, where we realized we couldn't do it
brutally unfortunate.
It's so I can share details about it. Like it's not like it's a secret. We were gonna do 2 killers, and we were gonna do the main character from Containment Breach. Wait, no, Containment Breach is. Sorry, ever since FNAF Security Breach came out, I keep getting Security Breach and Containment Breach mixed up, and that's the first time I think I've gotten it right in like the past year.
Yes.
So
well done.
Yeah, it's progress. Nature is healing. So with Containment, the protagonist from Containment Breach, who has like a canonical name and like a pseudo canonical appearance, and so we wanted to do something that was like super cool. We were gonna have like a fake out where it would be the Plague Doctor was gonna be the killer that used a similar zombie-like AI, which had okay. So this happened before this, but this happened before the night got released. But I'm just gonna say that what it did. It was something about like you would put down like a cured or like undead type figure. And you in a similar vein of like zombie AI, but like they could only patrol in a certain radius from where they were quote planted.
Yeah.
And so they were sort of like an area denial for like they would like lock down areas for a time. And then like, you know, night came out after we had to cancel our SCP concept, and of course we were like, of course Behavior was always a step ahead of us somewhere.
Yeah. Because I'm actually in a similar spot, because I know my viewers are going to lose their shit about this, but I actually had a Springtrap power ready for a really long time for when I do a Potential Problems video, and the night basically stole it.
Yeah.
Because I always try and base my Potential Problems series, because obviously I don't have the limitations that you guys have with like what you can put in a video. Like, all I need to do is write about it when I'm counting out the power, which is why I go for some crazy stuff sometimes.
I mean, you know, we're limited by like assets and stuff, but we want to try to keep it grounded to like what DBD reasonably could do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
There's sometimes where we break that rule, but like for the most part, the idea is we want to make it look convincing. That way, it's easier to accept.
Yeah, because your Slender power was wild.
Yeah, that one was definitely. There's things I would change. There's 100% there would be things I would change, but like. Yeah. I wanted it to feel more just straight. Like I wanted to fit more into like the lore that we had set up of like these like Slenderman came in uninvited, was not by the entity's rules or invitation, so it really fucked things up.
Yeah, it was a really great fusion of like character idea with gameplay. It's something that I always like prize as someone who does kind of a similar thing on a smaller scale.
Yeah, thank you.
I really see that and I'm like, yes, this is how it goes, and I love it. Which is why I like making these powers myself, because I get very fixated on individual pieces of media at a time. Like, you should see me every time I can put a new video on protection and problems. I go nuts on that piece of media for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know. Oh man, it's really funny to be like, it does come through sometimes if there's a way to like, I tweet too much, but like if you go back to like when I was researching for Pennywise or Slender, like way back, you can track exactly when I started development on those concepts, like before like or after the FNAF video got out. And I would just like subtly say like, oh, this is kind of neat. You can even see SCP stuff where I was like, man, SCP is so cool. Like I just tweet something out that's like, and some people were like, oh, are you doing a concept? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, like
a liar.
Like at this point, my viewers are saying like, they see me tweet about piece of media, and there's so many false alarms. Like, I'll say the Batman's good, and then someone replies like, oh, what do you about Riddler? I was like, I just like a piece of media, okay? I just think it's sick. But sometimes it is like I like when I was on my like alien grind for a little while because of the xenomorph power concept. That was but
I mean, sorry. No, you're good.
No, go on.
I was gonna say like, I can't really complain about people like overanalyzing what I might talk about, but because like I've done a Bill and Ted like concept. I was like, and someone was like, "Why'd you do this?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think it'd be funny. Like that's all I need."
I did the same with Tucker and Dale, and ended up actually recycling their perks into other characters when I actually made videos on them.
I think it'd just be funny to like have like kind of like a fun like little chapter inclusion that isn't like strictly horror.
Yeah, like a more strictly non-horror version of what Ash was, but they just dropped them in. It's like, here you go, here's Ash.
Yeah, Ash kind of just showed up. It's unfortunate because Ash, I believe at the time, it was like just overshadowed Plague and Jane because it was
I was overshadowed in turn by Ghostface.
Yeah, which is funny because like Ash was leaked by Behavior when they put out the patch for PS4. On custom games on PS4, you could see Ash's perks in the inventory. But that's how, and people thought it was fake because it's console. They're liars. Yeah. they're little liars.
No, I almost wish they'd saved Evil Dead, because I think because I think doing Evil Dead back in 2020, 2019, whatever, they wouldn't have had the technology and the ambition to create a properly like comprehensive Evil Dead chapter. But imagine an Evil Dead chapter made now.
Oh man!
With all the bells and whistles that a licensed chapter has nowadays. Like, imagine if instead of the night, that power was on Evil Ash from Army of Darkness.
That's so cool. Yeah, like
baby,
you'd have skeletons. They go, let's get out of here.
Absolutely, like they're just chattering. That would be so sick.
The thing that I keep thinking about is that I remember back when the Evil Dead game was revealed and they showed the model for Evil Ash like very briefly. I remember I might be able to find the message, but like I sent a message to Rare Things and I was like, hey, if we can get our hands on this model, like I am 100% down to do an Evil Ash concept. Like, I think it'd be really funny and it'd be really fun. There's I did want to talk about this because I mentioned SCP earlier. I can disclose this because like there's no way in hell that we can release like, cause the whole production of a video, like what goes into it, the time that people spend, it's not worth the potential legal troubles that come with it, and it's not even potential; it's like almost guaranteed. Yeah.
The sideshow Bob clip of walking into rakes.
Yeah, it's like that's so much work for like just what we can, and we've had people say, well, just like leak it, and it's like, no, like who else would do this?
So
Like,
are you paying my legal fees?
I'm just saying, like, if someone's like, well, like another smart answer I would say is like, well, don't call it Dead by Daylight, call it like Not Alive Light or whatever. And it's like, we're still using assets and all this stuff. It's a weird line that it's not worth the trouble to walk around. It's just unfortunate. But with the SP thing, because it was gonna be like a big like reveal, it was gonna be like, oh, the Plague Doctor Killer, Survivor, and then, oh, we're gonna catch you guys off guard, we're gonna introduce the Old Man as the second killer, and that was gonna be like a whole thing. And I early on, because we were still planning a bunch of stuff. Early on, I mentioned it'd be really cool if we did, because like SP has like all these like articles and stuff, if like we did like a mini archive of lore that was like, hey, what if we did something like some lore of like different scientists and D class personnel from SCP interacting with like a fragment of like iridescent glass from the entity as like as like a classified SCP thing, and like it's like sort of how the Foundation interacts with the entity, that kind of thing. I will say this. I did throw around your name and saying if we could get it narrated and just have a bonus video, that'd be also pretty cool. Because like who would narrate it other than like the lore guy that like everyone like pretty much goes to for lore.
That would have been exceptional. And yeah,
I would have like that, because like that was talks for a long while, and I was. Because this is the first time I'm bringing it up to you. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. That kind of caught me. Like I was taking a little drink at the time, and I almost had like a mini spit take there.
Well, because it was very early plans. It was one of those like super extra ideas that like I don't think I wrote a word for it. I had an idea in mind, an outline, but it was very much a thing that I was like, hey, I will write this, because I do pretty much. Like I do a lot of the writing, and then we revise it. Me and Rare Things revise it, and then we kind of like bat it around and send it off to wherever it needs to go. It was an idea that I thought was like, oh, this would be a cool like little extra thing, because like people like it like as we progressively added little details to things, and it's really cool for people to react to that, because like originally. If you watch those old videos and it's like the lore, I believe they're early on, they're just like Wikipedia page entries, but like some people were like, hey, could you scroll down on the lore, on like the lore tab? I want to read it during the videos. And that's a reasonable request, right? Some people just want to stop, pause, read everything, check things out. Those were just PNGs. They were never like scroll tabs. they were just PNGs. So like it was not until like maybe the Springtrap gameplay like over a year ago that I was like, hey, we might need to actually implement a little scroll bar, because before I had to fit lore into a certain amount of text, like an amount of characters, which was like really annoying, but like it worked out. Oh man, it's very interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff. We're a little behind compared to where we used to be for concepts, but Amnesia looks pretty cool.
Oh yeah, Amnesia's gonna be really exciting.
Yeah, imagine our surprise when like while we're like planning things and like discussing things, all of a sudden they're like, new Amnesia game coming out sometime 2025. We're like, oh fuck, okay. Oh shit.
Do you ever get worried that when you do one of these concepts? Because the thing is, now we don't know what's coming next. We have no idea. Because obviously all the chapters for last year got leaked. Wesker, Knight, Dredge, all leaked. Is there potential worry that we won't like one of your concepts is actually going to be like almost overshadowed by the real thing coming at some point soon?
See, the thing is that we did Resident Evil with Mr. X.
Yeah, I thought about that.
It boosted the views, and it was like huge. Like I actually remember exactly where I was when they revealed that there was going to be a DBD chapter for it. I was getting my first vaccine shot, and I was like, oh, okay,
that's nice.
Yeah, no, it was like, all right, sweet, awesome.
Yeah.
And then it was what was it? When it was like, oh, it's Nemesis. It's like, okay, that makes sense. Like, sure. Like, I like the idea of like Mr. X, but like, you know, if they're pulling from like multiple games, that just seems reasonable.
Yeah. Like, because I was in kind of a similar spot because I heard loads of rumors about Resident Evil and DBD. I think the King made a video on it, and it got me thinking. Right, what if it actually came to DBD? What would we be most likely to get?
Yeah. I think the rocket launcher was like such a far-fetched idea in the long run.
Oh, absolutely. But like, I made a video on it myself a week before it got announced.
It's very good.
So it was literally like I didn't actually I wasn't actually around for the original RE announcement. Mm-hmm. I only learned about it because people started commenting on the video, being like, "Are you a wizard?"
Yeah, we got that a lot because our video went up a month before the reveal, and before that we actually had a teaser that we put out because we just did an isolated teaser of like our lobby, which was like the RPD gate and like some police cars outside, and other than lighting and like obviously like the entity stuff and junk all around it, like it was very similar, and it got taken down. We don't know what took it down, so like it was one of those like, I don't know, it could be DBD. It could be it just could be Capcom maybe thinking we leaked shit or something.
Yeah.
It's
like how
predicting the future is good for views. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, it's like how Capcom took down the RE was it RE0 like fan remake trailer,
I think so, yeah.
And everyone's losing their mind about it because they're like, oh, this means there's an RE0 remake coming.
Capcom,
because they have a habit of doing that. They have a habit of taking down
that's
fan-made stuff.
That's what we were like in the same mindset of when the thing got taken down. We're like, okay, sure, like that's fine. We're just hopefully they don't take down the gameplay video. Those, I will say one thing. Those gameplay videos suck. They suck to make. It's one continuous cut unless we switch to a survivor perspective, which is what we did for the FNAF one. Only because you could technically play as a survivor in it.
Yeah.
And it was like,
that makes sense.
It was one continuous take. If it was, if anything went wrong, then Rare Things would have to restart it. Make sure he hits triggers because it's all AI actors acting on triggers.
Yeah.
It's just him playing. There's so many people that were like, hey, do you guys need testers? Do you guys need play testers? And it's like, hey, what's the mod? And it's like, you're not understanding this situation here. Like, yeah, it's a stage play. I've always said it's a stage play. We show you what we want you to see. Oh man.
Oh well. I can suppose it's a case with and this is actually the case I think with surprising little DBD content because of just the nature of the DBD content sphere. That seeing the way the sausage gets made, like under the hood, so to speak, is something that a lot of people don't seem to grasp because so much DBD content doesn't involve that sort of legwork.
Yeah,
like your chapter concepts are technically fantastically impressive, but also there's very little else like them.
I think I did see one video that someone tried to do their own spotlight concept. I'm seeing a lot more of them pop up, not at a super fast rate, but it's really neat to see more people do them. It's weird because people think it's a mod because we just try to replicate. We've done a lot to replicate like the feel, like the look of it. Even down to like I remember we had like a discussion of like there's like a specific shot from the Slender concept where I was like, I think Felix is running too slow, and it's like I could be wrong, but it's a lot of like when you watch somebody play Survivor, they move really fast. When you're play Survivor and you're running, it feels slow, right?
Yeah, because someone chasing you slightly faster than you.
Yeah, so like that was kind of like part of my argument when I was talking to Rare Things about it because you know I'll get like we'll get footage to review, and I always get to be like I get to watch footage that no one else gets to when I get to see it, and I'll usually have like notes of like, hey, this looks a little off, or this is like this seems like lined up wrong, which was like I think it's when Felix runs away from like Slender with the big fucking legs,
Yeah, I was literally rewatching old Rareth concepts earlier, like
Oh, really?
while I was making cups of tea and editing a Evil Dead video, like just to kind of refresh myself. And Slender, especially, I think was very, very technically adept. Like I'm always impressed by how well that was done.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad that worked out. We struggled for a while to get a tentacle animation going.
That even occurred to me. Like the tentacle animation, it's kind of weird.
We found a plugin that works for tails, and we applied it to the tentacles. And then
I'm sure that isn't going to get abused at all.
The what?
I'm sure that idea isn't going to get abused at all by anyone.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it worked out really well because like I have some old clips. If I can find them, I'll put them on screen whenever this video is up. Future problem for future editing me. And it's like just moving Slenderman and his model around, and like just they kind of flow. You know, they're floating behind, clipping in slightly, and then the legs were animated. God, that was such a huge discussion too. Should Slenderman walk? Like, we don't have to show him walking, at least from the third person perspective, but it feels weird to see him walking. And then we were like, what about spider legs? I wasn't convinced on it, honestly. I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, hey, could you, like, when I first saw the first round of it, I was like, maybe use some, like, the way weight is shifted in this clip, and I sent like Spider-Man 2 Doc Ock scenes or whatever.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what it reminded me of. It reminded me of Mother Miranda.
Oh yeah.
The final boss fight of RE8. That horrid fucking boss fight.
Yeah. Like I was the biggest, like, I wasn't like a hater, but I was the biggest non-believer in those like final like days of editing that video. Just because I was like so worried that like there's people who don't like it, there's people who do like it. You can't really appease everyone. I mean, it's become
absolutely
a meme
not
among like the team, and like to people who follow like me especially a little more closely, where it's like the axe for Springtrap doesn't make sense, and it's like, okay, but then some people are just like, it's like the only thing that they ever bring up.
Yeah.
And to the point where like I thought it would be hilarious to like 5 minutes before like Slender's premiere, I posted a picture I requested of Earthlings to put Slenderman's model on the Springtrap animation set with the axe. So we have a picture of Springtrap. Not Springtrap. We have a picture of Slenderman with an axe in hand running at Michaela.
That's amazing. That is beautiful. Like, I always feel almost embarrassed whenever I see one of your concepts, because I know that it's so much higher effort than mine, but also that's kind of your whole thing.
Well, like we spend time. We spend a ton of time, and like we want to make sure it's
it's a gigantic undertaking.
Yeah. Like, we want to make sure it's a spotlight that you're watching. Like, by the end of the day, it's not like it takes more time and effort, but like, it's not like any less valuable than someone saying, "I have an idea and I want to share it." I watch a lot of those videos.
Yeah, because unashamedly, mine are just you should talk about a franchise I find interesting.
Yeah, no,
it's rolling DBDs almost secondary to me, as opposed to just letting me talk about Alien for 20 minutes, because I find that to be just as interesting as talking about Dead by Daylight itself.
Oh yeah.
Like you should have seen me like with my RE7 video. I was a nightmare because I love that game. I properly love that game, and so when I got to talk about it for a video, I was like, right, finally, I get to go off about how incredibly sick RE7 is for like half an hour. It was great, and I'm such a problem.
I mean, that's the best thing if you're passionate about it. Like when I'll be forward. I have no interest in Pennywise coming to DBD. I think that's our best concept, personally. What was it? I like to absorb the material that we're doing. Like, I want to get really into it, and because like I want to try to make sure fans are happy.
Yeah, because honestly, that's why I get pitch plum videos all the time. And because the turnaround time isn't terribly long on most of them, I could probably do like one a month. I'll probably do one a month in the future. But I often very hesitant to talk about projects that franchises that I myself don't really have a good background in, because I get worried I'm not going to do it justice for the fans who find it interesting. It's why I haven't done FNAF yet, for example. And
I'm
I
gonna
get
keep
asked
posting
about that.
video. I'm gonna keep posting that video until you do it of the of
like
Springtrap trailer.
like at some point it is going to happen, but it becomes very hard to make a video like that when you're not enthusiastic or actually like somewhat opposed to the thing. Because then all it comes across is just raiding on someone's parade for no reason.
Yeah,
like I'd almost rather leave it to somebody who like proactively cares, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Like one thing I say for like our concepts when we do them is it's not just to be like fan service to people who want it. It's to essentially be like, hey, what do you think of this person who isn't a fan of this or even might hate it? And if they come around around to it even just a little bit, that's our job. We just want to make sure like you can see the potential in this property. You know, like with the FNAF one, we convinced a lot of people, okay, it could work. Doesn't mean we made a bunch of fans. It just means that we made it like convincing to people.
Yeah, I like to think I was the same with Jack Baker, because I have been a Jack Baker stan in DBD for it must be almost 2 years now, because I brought it up in my first video on RE and DBD a week before the first RE chapter got announced, and I have been waving the flag for him ever since. And like every time, like even for stuff that isn't DBD related, like RE7 or Jack Baker mentioned, I always get my mentions just lit up by people because if something goes viral or whatever, something about RE7, people are just like, "Hi, yeah, you should let Pixel know because he's going to lose his shit," and of course I do. But I'm I suppose excited about the fact that we don't know what's coming next. For the first time in a year, we don't know what's coming next.
I'm not I've been pretty vocal about like I don't like leak culture for DBD. I think it's very uninteresting. It also means that like all content like people have been trained to just look for leaks constantly and speculate, and it becomes like borderline really unhealthy.
I absolutely agree. Like look at the shit show that happened with Hellraiser. Like,
oh God. Yeah.
I felt genuinely gutting to see the like infighting between the like FNAF stands and the Hellraiser enjoyed as a Hellraiser enjoyer myself. It was like it feels so petty. It feels like people are just looking so half the time for just what they want to see and then getting upset when they don't get it. And the irony that coming from me, who's been a bit negative about the RE chapter, both RE chapters so far, is not lost on me. But it creates unhealthy expectations.
Yeah,
and I'm not fond of that.
I don't know if you saw or were aware of the Dead by Alternate Universe thing.
I was aware of that. I really enjoyed that actually.
I didn't help. I helped stoke the fires, like because I thought it would be funny. Because I remember the day that Hellraiser was gonna get released. I made a fake patch note that was like, "You lost the license to Hellraiser, guys," and it was like the attraction, and like you can earn Faz coins to unlock cosmetics and shit, and like, man, there's a lot of dumb people online. I'm just gonna say that.
Absolutely,
but I will forever love people who committed to the bit and were in the replies defending me, saying like, "No, this is the real account. What are you talking about?" I don't deserve defending because I handled the whole situation fucking poorly. Like I should have
trolling.
I should have like put parody much more clearly, but like I didn't.
Your Honor, my client was merely being silly and goofy.
Yeah, I was being a little too silly.
little funny goof.
And if I didn't risk my main account being suspended by Twitter, I would have remade it, but like that was actually like a huge scare. That was a huge scare. Yeah. I got like 1,000 that wasn't even a week. That was like 4, 5, 6 days. And like it was such a good joke. There's so many posts from like so many people that like I know and I don't know from that time. Like there was constant like posting about like I can't believe they nerfed Shaggy like that again, man. Like just like vague posting about like what is in Dead by Daylight AU.
Yeah, it's like got that alien buff's OP, right?
Yeah, it all started because of who is it? I think their handle is Bro Yeah Nice on Twitter.
Nicole, I love Nicole.
Yeah, that's how I met Nicole, was literally through their Twitter post where they're like, can DBD get memes that are like the Smash Bros memes where they just like post things about like an alternate universe where like all these characters got in the game, and like I remember seeing those, and there was like and Nicole like posted like 4 memes. Like one of them was like Jason's mask over Wreck-It Ralph with his like binoculars going, "They invited Slender Man," and like Chucky Nane's after the 2.4 patch, and it's like
I remember that one.
I was so ready for that bit. I made a patch notes where I was like, I made a tweet on the account. I was like, "Hey guys, patch 2.4 is releasing later today," and so many people were like, "The hour is nigh." Like doll mains are gonna fucking die. I think my favorite joke that I did that like maybe 2 or 3 people ever caught was like a single patch note on bug fixes. That was fixed Elvira's model from clipping through the front of the locker. It's such like a small little bit, but I love it. I think it's like probably my favorite joke.
That's fantastic. That is a beautiful thing to do a little bit of spread a little bit of misinformation on the internet.
Yeah,
it is. It is everyone's right responsibility. From time to time.
I do remember actually. I think because we had Pennywise on DBD, Dead by Alternate Universe, that like I leaked like the early perk names for the Pennywise concept through that, and even part of the early Slenderman design as well. And I was like, no one's gonna fucking catch me on this shit. Like I can do what I want. I think
Wheat is then caught on this shit.
I'm trying to think what the names were actually. I know one of Pennywise's perks names changed like 7 times. It was like the Gen Explosion one. I think originally it was called like Eldritch Cascade or something like that. It was something crazy.
I have a little list of perk names I want to put on perks when I do future potential problems videos or whatever. I really want to use the word crackdown. I think it's a really sweet word.
I want to use it. I have that for one of my jacket perks, my Hotline Man, because there's a level called Crackdown. Yeah, and I think it's just a picture of I think it's just a perk icon of like jacket being the shit out of somebody.
Like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah,
that checks out.
There's a lot of cool perk names to do. I will say I do have one like small like when I see other people do concepts, I think it's really boring to do perk names based on a quote that the character says.
I'm inclined to agree.
I feel like if you distance the perk name enough from the character, it actually makes it stand out more and becomes more realistic.
Yeah.
I break that rule. I do that. Like I think Slender's invasive silence perk. I think that's the name of that I ended up with.
Yeah,
it's a direct Slender reference, but like it's still like if you can separate it enough, it sounds more believable, which is like my main thing. I want it to be believable.
But yeah, a little side note on the Slender thing. In the Slender concept, I was watching it earlier today. When I saw it was like unleashed something awful, I was like,
yeah, I got a reference to fucking horrible forms.
Yeah, I think I genuinely made it sound like I just expired. Like
it was so fun filling like scripts with like. I love filling references and Easter eggs. There is so I've said this a few places. I don't know how many people have found it, or if I even said where it was. I know in the Pennywise concept, you can find Georgie's arm somewhere. I didn't find it until Rare Things pointed out to me, and I was like, "That's fucking awesome."
Now I'm just going to go back. Now I'm just going to go back into it.
Do you want me to tell you, or
no? I'll find it myself later. It's cool. Like
I will say, it is by a grate. It is by a grate. It's where you would expect the arm to be.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I know where to look now.
Okay, so but yeah, like I was like, oh, that's so cool. Even the FNAF one, we had a sign by this like we had this like really like small like weird lake outside the house or whatever, and we panned by it and there's a sign that says no fishing, and it was meant to just be a reference to like a really obscure like deep lore type thing from the FNAF series of Old Man Consequence, which is like this like little 8-bit sprite fishing in a lake that would just tell you, hey, don't fuck around with demons and ghosts. All right, cool. like that's it's so much more than that, but whatever. And I was like, I don't know, people aren't gonna get it. Originally, I was like, can you just put like a picture of Old Man Consequence on the sign? And we were like, no, let's just put like a typical no fishing sign. Okay, but like then I was so happy to see people were like, oh, there's a reference. It's a reference. I got it. Which is like, yeah, that's the joys that come from doing the concepts. Like just people,
absolutely.
People get it. People understand.
that's actually why I started putting add-ons on my power list when I do my potential problems videos, because I like adding these little extra references. Like, I think my favorite was probably Jack Baker getting the iridescent wedding ring.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I just liked that. It made me happy.
Yeah.
Or like the tapes, the happy birthday tape, the 21 tape, like from the mini games, from the banned footage.
Yeah, I think honestly, I do
It's
think add-ons
so
are
much
like
fun
one
you
of
can
my
have with it.
favorite parts about concepts, because I like doing add-ons a lot.
Yeah,
I don't
like
do
the,
them until I finish the design, because like God, if you do add-ons first and then you change the design 5 times, I've edited
Yeah.
add-ons enough to be like, oh, this is a bad idea. I need to fix my priorities.
It's like when I saw the Pennywise concept, and it was like, oh yeah, there's like a like lost shoe you can disguise as a spirit. Like, yeah, that's sick as hell.
Yeah,
like using like that kind of relationship between like the add-ons and the rest of the power. I love it, and it's why I wanted to do problems a little bit more as like future videos, because I think they don't need to be creative in a way that I don't get to be in a lot of videos.
mm-hmm.
I've got so many plans.
Do you have anything that you're working on in particular at the moment that you're like excited? You have the Evil Dead video, but you have anything that you want to share or?
God, I have so much stuff that's on my plate right now. I have because I barely uploaded in December because I was away. I've got a lot of catching up to do.
Mm-hmm.
Even though video right now, I just scripted a video about the new mid-chapter bug that twins have and like the role behavior has in fixing bugs.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a video that's scripted with Lily Pie about Claudette.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And bouncing off of that, I want to do a video about Symmetra at some point, because I want to talk about like autistic representation and stuff.
Yeah.
And also in a few weeks will be the mid-chapter, and with that will come the Knight and Vittoria stories.
Okay.
So there's so much stuff that's going on. Plus, there's going to be an Evil Dead update probably this month, which will bring you Ash vs Evil Dead content. So if I don't end up in a shouting match with the guys at Stars again, I might make videos about that. Yeah, there's a lot that's going on. But fortunately,
copyright.
Well, fortunately, while I was away, I was able to work on scripting and I was able to work on the rest of the video. So I've just got a backlog of scripts to work off.
That's good.
I've got a lot in the pipeline, and I think February is when this going to get really interesting. Because I've been talking to some very special people, and happy to get something exciting going.
Awesome. Always glad to hear that.
Oh yeah, and end of the month, Predator's coming. A video on Potential Problems Predator.
Okay, yeah.
Because the Alien video's done really, really well, and I want to kind of double down on that because I brought up AVP quite a few times in that video, and I want to kind of make the counterpart to it.
Yeah, I noticed like earlier I was actually like going to your channel because I was like I thought I missed a video, but I didn't. It was because I thought you uploaded after the best of 2022, but I think I just had your Evil Dead video on the brain.
Yeah, well, that's a point now for patrons, but I can't make it public because
because of the copyright claims.
Because stars are cringe.
Yeah, but I saw the Alien views, and that's crazy. I'm glad that blew up.
Yeah, it's actually got as many views right now as the video on the Night does, which like for things to do as well as a new killer video is kind of off the chain.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't normally happen.
I think it's also like because Night stands out amongst like new additions. It's like
absolutely
they added a medieval knight or whatever, right? Like it's like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I remember I told some friends who haven't played DBD in a while, like, yeah, they added a knight character, and they're like, really? Like they were shocked.
Yeah, it's honestly why I'm excited for him to get a tome, because it'll basically be like double dipping on that content, if you will. Being able to kind of, because like say if a character gets a tome released a year after they come out, like the twins did, a lot of the initial launch interest will be gone by then, because obviously it's a year later. But for a character as new as the Knight to get a story update this quickly, that's going to catch people's eyes.
Yeah,
people will
it retains attention.
Yeah, the Knight is still new enough that's going to be a novelty. Which is why I think also, like, say, I think it's probably going to be a bit underwhelming when, say, I don't know, Feng Min finally gets a story, because while she hasn't had one yet, which is amazing given how long it's been, when she does get one, I think it's not going to people aren't going to notice it because it's been so long. No one cares anymore.
I think it's different for like older characters because they have such like an established fan base.
Yeah.
Like I think Feng Min is gonna have like it's gonna like there's no way it's gonna be like a diminished attention. But it depends on who's also there. Like as another character.
I think Oni and Feng Min would actually be an excellent pairing.
Look, I would so I don't actively play the game a ton at the moment. I keep up with it. But like it's a lot of just I find it very easy to get disinterested very quickly with Dead by Daylight at the moment. But if they gave me an Atom Tome, finally, please God give me an Atom Tome. Atom was like I started playing after Clown came out. I think I was there for the mid chapter after that. And I think that's when they synced up console and PC patches, so they launched at the same time. And I was there when Adam came out, and Adam is like my favorite survivor in the game.
Adam's
easily
fantastic.
I think he's a super interesting character. I also love that I'm a full subscriber of the biblical parallels between Adam in his perks as well, and biblical depictions. He's got
Adam is Jesus. It's just facts.
Adam is Jesus. He can create rocks out of nothing. That's why he's Jesus.
he turns terra radius into rocks.
Yeah. Have you seen speaking of Jesus, have you seen or heard about that Steam game, the I Am Jesus Christ game?
I have not, no.
Oh my god. A trailer of it came out a couple years ago. And it's like they have it's like a clearly not like a gameplay trailer, it's like a cinematic trailer. They have a belief meter on the left, and so you have Jesus going up to a leprous woman or whatever, and it goes down a little bit. He goes up to a bucket of empty buckets, and he fills it with fish, and his hands glow. And then he goes to slowly it goes down over time, and then there's a scene of him. He looks at both his hands, and he's nailed on the cross, and his belief meter is super low, and he blanks out, and then it's the title card. It's I Am Jesus Christ, coming soon to Steam or whatever, and it's his character model. He's floating in the air, and he's doing his. It feels wrong to say a T pose, but and it's okay, and it's interesting, and then it ends, and then it cuts to the end, and it's really dark. You see the meter again. It starts rapidly filling up as his hands are reaching out and glowing, and you see the stone moving in front of the tomb out of the way. And it feels like a parody, but they put out a demo.
I was gonna say it sounds like the kind of thing that would be a fake ad in a comedy show.
Yeah, it's crazy, and they put out a demo. I haven't played it yet, but I've seen clips. There's a section where you're a doom shooter, and you're the Holy Spirit, and you're fighting against sin inside somebody's body. You're firing little bolts of light. It's so funny, and it's I feel bad for laughing about it, but people gotta realize how ridiculous this looks. You can I have seen people who have been trying to speedrun it, which is funny. It's got quest markers. There's some navigation. The most I think I saw gameplay wise was Jesus going up to a wedding, and they're hey, this party kind of sucks because we only have water. And you can kind of see, yeah,
you see where it's going. The writing's on the wall.
Yeah, no, I saw that, and I'm I kind of like that they're being just really upfront about this. But yeah, I forgot about it until I saw gameplay of it pop up on my Steam, and I was there's no way, there's no shot that this is real. Well, I mean, at least it's not just another game that got a trailer and then never came out.
Yeah.
There's so many of those. I was gonna say Dead Island 2, but that's actually coming out, which feels weird.
Yeah, that is peculiar. I just I don't pay a lot of attention to new games coming out because I'm such a big movie guy.
Yeah,
like
that makes sense.
I even got into DBD in the first place because of the Saw DLC. I was one of those guys who got into it because of the license, and it says a lot that Amanda Young's one of my favorite characters in all of fiction, and Saw's is my favorite franchise in all of fiction, and yet I don't play Pig ever. Like it shows how like underwhelming she is in the game that I don't play her despite how much I love her. Yeah. It's so it's a real indictment if I won't play her. That shows maybe needs some polish perhaps.
She still has a bunch of issues that came out after their like super nerf from like the endgame collapse patch.
Yeah,
which is great. I actually remember I checked with a friend, like I was like, hey, is Pig still like 32-meter tear radius? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my god.
I think there's no reason not to shrink it now because they changed Sadako and Wesker and Destiny to have non-standard tear radius sizes. Like, there's no reason not to take back 24 for her. There's no reason not to.
It feels just kind of ridiculous at this point, but you know, like I don't know. There's
Amanda Young, our beloved.
there's a lot that Pig can easily be like really weird. It's a weird situation. I think they're just more happy to have Pig in a not great situation than in a really bad or really oppressive situation.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Because they were quick to fix the box camping strategy.
They were, yeah.
Because obviously they're aware of like, you know, Pig being potentially abusable.
Yes, absolutely. Like, who'd have thought it? The killer would do RNG insta-kill mechanic could be abusable.
But it's canon. It's canon. Yes. Cheating is canon.
Absolutely.
I kind of wish you could like mess jigsaw traps up as Amanda and like kind of like tamper with them.
Yeah. I just it's one like the add-on that makes them go faster whenever anything gets done.
Oh yeah, right.
It really turns the pressure on, but I can't tell you how sad that Saw tome made me. I can't tell you how sad it made me. Like, I was big on my Saw grind set at the time. Like you look at my videos at the time and they're all Saw related. I did Saw 2
it was just constantly
I did the Saw retrospective. I did the tap video. I did so much about Saw. I was like gushing about how cool Saw is. Then Amanda Young's tome came out and it was like hitting a brick wall with your face. Yeah. It was awful, like a punch in the gut. Like, it was such an awful story. Oh my god. And like, I don't know how they could mess it up so badly. Like, her character is quite well defined. Because there are a few moments where I see something that a DVD does in terms of a license, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And most of it's to do with Saw. Like, when they announced the Saw sale, it's about a year and a half ago now. They do like, oh, the X sale, and they put a nice graphic up. The Saw sale, it's in the bathroom, kind of like the
I know where you're going with this.
But not only did the toilet not have the heart on it, like the painted on heart, like you follow your heart to find the saws, but the saw was a fucking like wood saw. It was a bench saw. So it wasn't a coping saw like it's meant to be.
It's so funny.
It was the wrong. It was a hacksaw. It should have been a hacksaw, but it wasn't a hacksaw. It was the wrong kind of saw. That saw has never even been in any of the Saw films.
So funny.
And then again in the tone where they're like, yeah, let's throw a cobra in here for some reason. But I don't know why they did that. And like, even look in the Gideon map. Like, anyone who's playing DBD, go in the Gideon map, bring off freaks if you have to annoy the killer, and like go check in the bathroom. See the corpse on the floor. Look at the color of the shirt it's wearing, and then go look at Saw and look at who was wearing that shirt in the movie. It's Lawrence fucking Gordon, who escapes the bathroom. Like, that should be Zepp's body. That shouldn't be Lawrence's. Why is Lawrence's body in the bathroom?
It feels like, I get like the reference they're doing, but also with the implication that like Lawrence is still, and also Hoffman is still like out there in Spiral, because there's the whole unsolved. It's a plot hole. Let's be real. But like, there's like, oh, somebody basically caused a jigsaw distraction downtown, like during the movie, and then there's also the person who finds Eleanor, I think, at the end of Jigsaw.
Yeah. And Bonneville, yeah.
Yeah, I think the popular consensus is that like that's like Hoffman and or Lawrence still pulling the strings, which I believe.
I really don't. I think they were very Hoffman for good, and I don't blame them because fuck Hoffman.
I hate Hoffman as a character, but I think his actor is doing his best.
I wouldn't even go that far, at least not by the end.
Oh yeah, true.
And also the actor is kind of a piece of shit. So no. Yeah. My favorite part of any Saw film between 4 and 7 was watching Hoffman stuck in that bathroom. Marginally followed by Hoffman getting reversed by trap in Saw 6. Like, watching him suffer was an excellent thing to feel because I fucking hate that character. And if that was his body in the Gideon bathroom on DBD instead of Lawrence's, I would be like so pleased. I would be. I do that gen every match just to feel the Schadenfreude. But sadly, it was not to be. Because I don't know what it is with Saw where behavior just decides occasionally just to like freewheel it away from. Because they don't license it very often. They don't like. They'll expand upon it, but don't tend to just say bun it and do their own thing with it. Just flagrantly ignoring original canon. They don't often do that, but they do it with Saw all the time. I don't get it.
It's weird because like also the whole big Saw event like had so many like really like deep cuts, like really weird deep cuts, and then you compare that to like other details that it's like obviously like, I'm not saying that's the same person or same small group of people doing those things, but it feels so disconnected that people just aren't communicating.
Yeah, like inside of behavior, there are two wolves. One of them loves the Saw movies and wants to make every deep cut they can about them, and the other one had like saw a poster for Saw 6, and that was it.
Wait, poster for Saw 6? Isn't that the one where it's like Kramer's being constructed? Like, like a big.
No, I think that's Saw 7. Oh, yeah, that's Saw 7. That's Saw 7.
That's such a weird poster.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I have such moods about Saw. If I could just talk about Saw forever, I would, but I don't think that's ever gonna. No one will ever give me that much time and ability to shout at them.
Oh man,
because I was going to do a Saw 3 video after Amanda's Tone came out, but kind of like what happened with the nurse, that tone was so bad it just killed my interest in it.
Yeah,
I was like, I am tired. I don't want to talk about this anymore because it makes me sad.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate.
I know that sounds really pathetic to be like this DBD story genuinely made me so sad I couldn't talk about my favorite media franchise, but that's genuinely what it did. It makes me feel so. It feels like such a like first world problem. It makes me feel like so I had little perspective, but that genuinely is how it felt.
It's one of those weird things where like I think a lot of it also comes from like the original like a lot of the older characters that don't have a lot of story to them. There's a lot of expectation put onto them, so when they do flesh them out, it ends up being super like not what a lot of people expected because they had a more clear idea of like what that person was.
Yeah,
like Dwight really drugging his boss was like so out of left field.
Yeah, that was peculiar. Or like,
I don't know. You only got the impression that he's like just like, oh, I'm a down on my luck kind of guy.
He's just Simon Pegg from Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
But and then he's like, no, he drugged his boss, lol. Like, or the nurse, perhaps more controversially, because that was a real debacle that caused.
That was a lot,
and that created some minor skill issues.
Oh, jeez.
I don't like the long like I think I still get asked about that to this day about like the nurse's story, and there are some weird people. Like, it was the first time on my channel I made a video about it that I talked about some really serious stuff, talked about eugenics.
Mm-hmm.
And there was genuine, like, in the gutter comments that wasn't having welcome people from the channel because it created this awful discussion.
Yeah, there's some real weird people about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that weird thing to say. Speaking of eugenics.
Welcome to the Eugenics Podcast with Pixel Bush and Wheat.
Okay, one quick thing before I do actually what the eugenics thing reminded me of. When I was in voice chat, before the one that you popped in for a bit, when we ended it, we all were on our webcams, and I just picked up my mic and I started like posing it like I was controlling a mic arm and trying to angle it like we were on a podcast. And we kept doing a bit, and then I said something like it'd be a really funny bit to end like every podcast or like a guest, and just like flat like straight face ask them, "Are you racist?" and then cut right after their reaction. So either they go or what, or they start laughing, and then you cut right there, and you just end it there. because they didn't answer. So who knows?
Yeah.
You never know.
A non-answer is a yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly.
That's how it works.
Okay, but let's go back to the
yes.
go back to the other.
Speaking of eugenics, yes, back to the most important topic at hand. What the people at home really want to know.
Imagine my surprise when I see a random Pixel Bush comment on a Magic the Gathering video speaking about lore eugenics. For context, for anyone listening to this that isn't aware of this video or whatever, it's not like like advocating for eugenics. It's a bad guy and also some good guys because it's old like 90s Magic lore. Dabbling in eugenics and like the whole actual real world consequences of such and beliefs.
Yes.
Like Yawgmoth is not a good guy.
No, he is not. The video is by a very good guy. He's a Welsh creator, Spice 8 Rack. So anybody's interested in that sort of thing, go look at him. He likes talking about magic and
goblins and Lorwyn
and goblins. He's the world's only slow bad stan.
Did you? I remember when when they posted the new slow bad that's like Phyrexian now. I posted something and I said Spice, like I'll have to find it because I thought it was hilarious when it happened.
I felt a disturbance in the force since I saw that can't get spoiled.
The moment, like I'm just imagining like the moment it's like we start talking about magic, someone's like, "All right, I don't need to listen anymore. There's some nerd shit going on here."
Oh yeah, we kept off the topic long enough, but now that this Pandora's box has been opened, it ain't going. It ain't shutting again.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to like be like suddenly like, "Oh, tell me about your magic. Tell me about magic." Like I was like, if it comes up, it comes up. Hilarious that it comes up through eugenics.
Yeah.
This is what I posted. I said Spice right now, like with this image. I love this image.
Okay, that's a gorgeous image. I love that.
Yeah, I love it. I love.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that in the video. Actually,
it's very good.
This will be a fine addition to my collection.
Yeah, Magic. I don't know how. Like, I mean, I assume you regularly play Magic, like at your store
I
or
do.
Or with people. Yeah. It's weird that like it feels weird that like I haven't seen or met as many people into Magic. Like, I think you and maybe two other people are like the only people I know that like outside of like a real friend group that I have like online, especially in DBD space, that like plays Magic or like is invested in it.
Like I'm exactly the same. Like I was like seeing you being knowledgeable about Magic and talking about Magic with me.
Oh yeah,
it's like finding a unicorn at a petting zoo.
Yeah,
it just is like, okay, you maybe like it's simultaneously like you probably shouldn't really expect it, but also like, oh wow, hey, that's nice. So that's a cool thing to talk about this person with. I can just my other hyperfixation for 5 hours.
Yeah. Have you kept up, before we say anything, have you kept up with like the leaks that came out recently?
I have indeed.
Okay, so I'll probably edit in like an intro to this video and be like, oh hi, I'm with Pixel Bush and we talk about this stuff, and I'll say like, oh, spoilers for this, by the way. But we're gonna get Phyrexia spoilers because this shit's like, there's some real... Okay, one, I will like to say, Jace Vraska OTP forever and ever.
Yes.
2,
agreed.
God damn it! Of course they're fucking evil. That was my one worry, that they would become Phyrexians.
I really hoped it would happen to Jace, but not Vraska. Like, Vraska's my favorite character in all of Magic, and I actually have
the fact that they're both Phyrexianized is what fucks me up. Because if they get into a romance while evil and die while evil, I'm gonna be so fucking upset.
What can they like? That's what we call unholy matrimony. But in any case, I've never been particularly enthusiastic about Jason as a character, but I fucking love Vraska. Like, I have on my desk right now every Vraska Planeswalker printed in top loaders or like in my little Vraska gallery. I love that.
Vraska's an amazing character. I think Ixalan is like one of my favorite isolated like arcs in like all of Magic.
Yeah, I really like Ixalan's
even
strange
Jace
set.
in that was like nice. It was I was super into their relationship And I was like on the boat of like, I really want them to like be like a canon thing, but if they're not, that's totally fine because like one, Jace needs a friend, and also Vraska like actually getting a point of leadership and like being able to like have some freedom that where she's not like judged because she's a Gorgon is so nice to have. And I remember reading the story article when it came out of like Jace falls down the waterfall and cracks his fucking dome open, and then all of his like his brain matter, his like thoughts get ejected out, and Vraska witnesses like all of his memories, even like with Liliana of all people, which I was like, oh god, and he's starting to remember all these horrible things that Vraska did, and she's like, oh no, I was so worried that it was like gonna be like this friendship wasn't gonna last. And it didn't, but like, actually, I was upset that it was like he had to wipe her mind to save her.
I have a theory. I think we're going to get one Planeswalker decompleted by the end, and I think it's going to be Vraska.
I think
because I have because one very simple reason, we're going back to Ixalan. Mm-hmm. Lost Cans Ixalan is coming. I think it's the end of this year, start of next year. But either we're going back to Ixalan.
Yeah.
And it would be if it's like a weird place to go back to this soon after Phyrexia, if it doesn't involve taking Vraska back there, because that's somewhere that she worked very well. Like obviously, as you said, it's somewhere she can be. She was able to be judged as being a Gorgon, and her and Jason's story on Next Time was one of the most impressive things about that plane.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So I'd be amazed if we don't end up going back there with Vraska.
Part of me, so now that we know who's completed and who isn't, which also, if you saw the, so we know everyone on that list who is completed.
Yeah, and by deduction, everybody who isn't.
Yeah, but yeah, process of elimination, it's very interesting. Nahiri being completed is something I didn't think was going to happen.
I'm sorry, it's gonna sound really rude of me, but like I'm so glad Nahiri just got
I'm glad too, but like I didn't think it was gonna happen. Like everyone knew Luca was gonna get
Nahiri, you wouldn't be missed.
No, fuck Luca. All my homies hate Luca. I fucking hate that dude.
Like it might just be my love of Innistrad as a plane and my love of Sorin as a planeswalker that makes me just dislike Nahiri as much as I do. But I'm so glad she's just kind of getting rolled.
I'm so mad that they like let the Sorin Nahiri fight like go off screen in War of the Spark.
Yeah,
that's such a. There's so much to say about War of the Spark. Like, holy shit!
Like I'm sad they just kind of forgot Sorin after Eldritch Moon, because Sorin was massive in Eldritch Moon, destroying Avacyn.
Yeah,
that was massive. And then like he's in a rock now. And then I guess he got out by the time of War of the Spark, but we don't know how he got out the rock.
Yeah.
And then he's back on Innistrad, but not doing anything on Innistrad either. And he's just at the wedding being grouchy and miserable.
I hate the wedding set. I'll be real. I think it's such a betrayal of like the tone of Innistrad, and it does not work like at all.
I really like it.
I like the idea of a wedding, a vampire wedding. I hate that it's like on a serious like Innistrad like sort of, because like
I think it works really well actually.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna in the words of the professor, I guess, I'm not gonna yim your yam. I just think that it feels weird to do that when like they're getting their like MacGuffins for the Teferi's big box or whatever.
Yeah, the Sun Gold lock. Yeah. Honestly, I cared about that more than I cared about Teferi and the Sun Gold lock. Like, I really, really did.
That's fair.
Because I've always loved the dynamic on Innistrad, where like the monsters are so incredibly powerful there compared to regular humans. Mm-hmm. They kind of have to manage that in interesting ways, like Sorin making Avacyn to keep the monsters under control.
Yeah, no, it's a super cool dynamic because like, Sorin's a very interesting character.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of that being Olivia's power play. I think made so much sense. I really, really liked it. I'm going to see Edgar Markov like doing his thing.
I like the not even the implication. They just straight up say that like every now and then Sorin would just walk into his grandpa's like room, knock on his coffin, and they'd chat for a bit, and he'd get advice. I think that's honestly super sweet. I remember I was retelling the story. What was that?
And then Edgar just goes back to sleep again.
Yeah, I remember retelling this to like a friend of mine, and I kind of just did a bridge, and I have joked with the same friend that like, because he asked me a lot of like lore questions, and I usually abridge it. And I'm like, I told him like at some point we should just like get like a little bit drunk or something, and like I'll just like start saying magic lore from memory while like a little fucked up. And I remember I explained it as something like Soren would just come by with like a gram or two, and they'd fucking smoke a joint, and mark out, and Edgar would be like, I don't know, fucking figure it out, and he just take one puff, hand it back, and go back into his coffin.
Yeah,
you would just chill. And then he woke up to like pretty vampire lady, and she's like, "Hey, you want to get married?" He's like, "Yeah,
sure."
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, Olivia was one of those people that he made into a vampire way back in the day.
Yeah, Edgar was the first vampire, and then he made Soren and Olivia into ones.
Yeah, I really like Crimson Vows. I honestly, can't think of an interest that I dislike. I think my favorite is probably Shadows. I love me some Shadows.
Yeah, I would say the same for me. I didn't play during original Innistrad.
It had just the right amount of cosmic horror for me. It was just like that kind of like weird out there shit. I thought it was just the right amount.
I didn't play until like 2014.
I was about the same.
But my cousin who got me into it, he bought me like one of those $20 like deck builder toolkits for 2013 core set. Yeah. So my first packs I ever opened were Innistrad, Dark Ascension, and core set 2013
Those aren't bad packs.
Right?
Those are pretty good packs.
Right? And so here's the thing. I didn't play for like a year. I played when I went to like, what is, I don't know if there's like an equivalent or if it's the same terminology. It's commonly referred to as like an alternative high school, where it's like, it's not like the main school in the district that people would go to, but it's like, they're usually relegated for like people who are like teens who are like felons, or like they're under some sort of like legal issues and they can't be like around like larger student bodies, whatever. This was like not like a basically like a school for juveniles, right? This is actually like a small school where it's like people are just kind of down on their luck, or they have a certain situation, like maybe someone's a parent, right, that they have to take care of a kid. It was super cool, super laid back school. Actually made me believe in like the school system here.
Wow. Miracles do happen.
Yeah, no, like I'm actually still friends with a teacher that I didn't even have, and he taught me magic. He taught me like a ton of stuff. But anyway, I didn't play until a year later when I went to that school, and I met a bunch of people who did play magic. And in my packs, I actually remember what I opened. In the Innistrad pack, the original Innistrad, I opened a Mirmad Phantasm, which is a mythic rare spirit, which is dog awful. It's so bad.
Is it weird to say I play that in an EDH deck right now?
No, I mean it's not weird to say that, because I mean like it has its use, but like it's not a good card in like most other builds. I remember I learned that pretty quickly when I tried making it work. But in my Dark Ascension pack, I still have this card to this day. I actually traded it away to a friend, and then I was like, "Can I have it back?" Because it's like the first. It's technically the first mythic I ever opened. It's Micaeus the Unhallowed.
Yeah, now that's a banger.
That is what made me fall in love with black cards. Like I was like, this fucking awesome.
I was the same. My first ever pre-release, because my first ever pre-release was Our Devastation. Mm-hmm. I played Magic quite a bit before, but the first actual event I went to was the pre-release for Our Devastation, and my promo was a Razaketh. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this card is awesome.
Razaketh,
and it really was.
Fucking nuts.
Razaketh's a stupid magic card. My pre-release deck was terrible, but it had a Razaketh in it. And it got me tinkering so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me fall in magic
somewhere.
in a big way.
I think it's in my Varigoth EDH deck.
Yeah, I have two now, because I packed another one at a later date and got it signed by Chris Rallis.
Oh, I need to get cards signed. God, I wish.
Yeah, it's my only signed card. Is my Razaketh.
Razaketh's only been printed like once, I think, right?
Yeah, only in Our Station.
It's like that's actually cheaper than I thought it was going to be. I was like people
now?
Usually like their big demons that draw or search for cards.
How much is it now?
It's like 18 USD. Foil is like $40. Promo though, you're looking at like $60 USD.
Dios mío! So if I need to fund that expedition,
Exactly.
That certainly helps.
I think it's funny that like I would say like half of our conversations usually are like at least like are like not like on like public like Twitter Spaces usually or like Discord.
Yeah.
Half of our conversations are just occasionally we'll send each other magic pictures.
Like, absolutely.
It would just like
it's a league
card I picked up, and it's like awesome.
It's like something that we packed. Like it's just me. I feel I need to check with somebody else, but is it just me who has no idea how much my collection's worth? Like I have people who ask me putting down more how much my collection's worth, and I'm like, I haven't got a fucking clue because I
can make an estimate.
Prices fluctuate so much.
Yeah, it's crazy, and then bulk is so hard to sell or even just
it
judge
really
for
is,
price in general.
Yeah,
like my bulk is quite literally like if someone wants to like go through it and like just take cards, go for it.
Literally, I have a bulk box on the floor next to me that I was looking through earlier when I was pulling cards out for a new deck.
You got those like white BCW boxes that like just hold a bunch of cards, right? Or no?
Well, I don't actually have. I just have a big cardboard box. But I probably should get those because they're very useful.
I'll be honest. Okay, just say a number of how many BCW boxes I can see from my chair right now. Just any number, and I'll tell you.
I'm gonna guess 6.
High, way higher. Holy shit.
Okay, it's okay. I'm gonna 13.
I'm gonna say higher, and we're gonna skip this part. Okay,
we're gonna
move on.
I'll just leave it there.
I'm not gonna say what it's fluctuates in sizes, but I have a lot of the common long ones that are like
because I need to get the BCW boxes because
nice,
this cardboard box solution is not sustainable.
Yeah, no, I have that the big flat one that has just like the lid you lift off, and it's like rows that you can. Yeah, I have one of those, and then I have one of the house boxes where like it has like little shelves built into it. Yeah. And that one is where a lot of my work goes. Just it's in those 2 boxes, and the other ones are usually like rares or even just like sleeves. Like there's a lot. There's a really dumb amount.
Yeah, because I heard people say I'll just throw your bulk out or give it to someone. And I'm like, but I play EDH. I play EDH. I can't do that. Like.
Yeah,
the amount of times it's been like, oh, this random common from Baldur's Gate I don't care about.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
a month later, I'm like, shit, I really need this roving Harper.
Fate Reforged would be so good.
I really need this roving Harper. Where's my portent? I can't find it.
Oh yeah. I think my. I know you said your first pre-release was Hour Devastation.
Yeah.
My first was I think Magic Origins. I played when Theros finished up and Cons when Theros finishing up and Cons came out.
Oh, the Siege Rhino days.
So here's the thing. Cons is like my favorite Magic world. I think it's genuinely like one of the most captivating places.
Talk is gorgeous.
It's beautiful. I want to go back. The thing is, if we go back, it's gonna be Dragon's Tarkir. Yeah. And I don't want to go to Dragon's Tarkir. I want to go to Cons.
Well, the thing is, Teferi's back in the story now. We could absolutely go like setting right what went wrong shit with Teferi time travel stuff again.
I feel like they don't need to do. They could just do a supplemental set. Like, what if Cons are still around? What if they're Cons?
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I want to see more of like the dynamics and like evolutions because like there's the suggestion that like Zergo is going to lead like not like he's going to lead a rebellion against Kolaghan, but like he's basically going to be a champion of his people because they're effectively on their own. And then there's Surak who beat the shit out of a dragon, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, Tarka's gonna kill us." And Tarka was like, "Food is food, my dude," and did not care.
It's like I hear you, I understand. However, hungry.
Yeah. Also, I think a number of the Dragon Lords are interesting, but they're not as interesting as the Cons. I am super interested in Dramoka though. I think Dramoka is like one of the more interesting Dragon Lords.
Hard agree.
Just because like Dramoka was like, "Hey, you guys are chill, but you got to cut that necromancy shit out." That honoring ancestor shit ain't gonna fly.
Because I think the Abzan are the only one of the like Khans that got more interesting when they got dragonified.
Yeah, I would 100% agree because like it didn't completely eliminate the ancestry thing either because there's still kin trees out in the. This is like the nerdiest section of this so far because it's like just nonsense fantasy terms coming at people.
Like everyone watching this for like DBD stuff or like concepts or whatever. Their eyes just like glazing over.
You got like an hour of content. Now it's our turn.
Yes, it's too late for you now. Suck it in.
But man, there's so many things about there's so many things about like Magic's creative side that's like so interesting inherently.
Genuinely, yeah. Like it's just something you can only get from a game that's 30 years old.
Yeah, and the fact that there's multiple worlds is like I love returning to places. I say that with an asterisk because I don't want to go to Eldraine. I really
Nor
don't
do I.
want to
Fuck Eldraine.
I fucking
my
hate
homies hate Eldraine.
I think it's literally just boring. Listen, I am an avid fan of Spice 8 Rack. I am a believer of the Eldraine is boring Lorwyn.
Yes, I hard agree. Hard fucking agree.
But I think it's interesting how things evolve and develop, especially, and it's crazy that like Magic is such a huge thing, but it's so quiet. Like it's so insanely just like under the radar of people, like especially
you ask a random person, it's just oh, it's that nerd game, isn't it? Like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh yeah, I played that back in like 2011. It's still going, and it's like like I was sick for Brothers War pre-release. I was so mad about that. I'm still mad about it, because my sealed pool would have been fucking awesome. I had a Wormcoil engine. I had a Wormcoil engine. Right? I had like a bunch. I had like Arcane Proxy.
God, you should have seen my. Sorry, well, I'll get into this in a second. Yeah. Carry on.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say like, and one of my friends told me that he went to pre-release and he was against this guy who's like, I haven't played since like 2006. You know, he was like, oh shit. And so he's like, okay, he's friendly. He was like, I'll show you. And he disenchants like one of his artifacts. He's like, that's still a card, and it's like, yeah, Magic literally has been power scaling down ever since.
Yes, it's since like probably about
Disenchant is like one of the best cards in the game you can play.
Yeah, like my Brothers War pre-release was it caused some issues for everybody else because I ended up building like a 4-color abomination with I think my fixing was like one random mana dork and then maybe one like jewel, one of the like tap jewels.
Yeah,
and it was like. I had a Fauna Shaman and the rare Mishra that unearthed artifacts.
Oh yeah, Mishra of
Tamer of Macfalla.
Yeah.
So my entire game plan was just, hey, discard gigantic artifact creature, reanimate it, repeat.
Jesus,
and
so scary.
It was this 4-color abomination, but one guy ended up getting hit for like 12 on turn 5.
Oh my god!
And by this like 7/7 copying Fauna Shaman or whatever, and he actually had to go out and calm down afterwards. I always enjoy pre-release. I always enjoy it. I don't do drafts and things like that very often. I don't play on Arena at all, but I will always attend a pre-release wherever I can.
I would like to attend more, but like it's also just like. Even like trying to like, because I took kind of like a small hiatus from Magic, but like there's so much like sets and things, like there's so much product, like that's a whole issue on itself.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But I completely like I like felt like I checked out for like only like a couple of years, and like I made not a couple of years, but like a year, maybe a little bit more than that.
You missed 20 sets.
Yeah, I missed like 20 sets, and like. Weirdly enough, I didn't feel like I missed any story at all.
Like, yeah, well, the thing is, I think between War of the Spark and probably I'm gonna say the Kaldheim, there was basically no Magic story because War of the Spark was so bad that they just went because of Forsaken, they went fuck it and just didn't let you. Said no story at all for Theras Beyond Death, very little for Ikoria. Obviously, there's a core set, so no story for that either.
It's also like one set, so you only have like barely enough. You have barely enough time to either return to a world or learn about a new world.
Yeah,
like that fact that like new worlds are only getting 1 set is honestly just a huge crime in itself.
Kaldheim needed more. Kaldheim needed a second set.
100% needed it.
Like fuck Ikoria, get Ikoria out of here.
Dude, Ikoria
give us two Kaldheim sets. Like, all it did was go, hey, yeah, let's make the most confusing mechanic ever and the most busted mechanic ever in the same goddamn set.
The fact that they had a
because why not?
Errata companion to be like, actually, you have to pay 3 to put it in your hand first. Such a mess. Oh my god! Like the companion was just like the worst like concept I've ever seen. Like
it's the biggest mistake the game has made since Storm, and that says a lot.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Or like Dredge. I think Dredge is more recent mistake than Storm, but yeah, it's as bad as Dredge.
Dredge 100% is a worse mistake because it's way more accessible. And just as abusable as Storm, I would say.
Yeah, but at least Dredge is cool to play with. Like who goes? Oh, I'm excited to just play like a companion.
Wasn't a miserable like thing to play against. Like I got a buddy. Like I love him, but like he's got a Gitrog commander deck, and he just dredges like infinitely.
Yeah, because I have a Tyan EDH deck, which is my like. I call it the Tyan teleporter accident because it's like if a lands deck, a 1/1 counter deck, and a dredge deck all got into the same teleporter and came out all smushed together, like begging for death as it crawls across the floor,
like Cronenberg. Like
exactly, that's exactly what it is. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna, I will. It has the Gitrog life from the loam stuff, but it's. I love doing it, but whenever I play it in a pod with people, they always look at me like I'm just sort of masturbating to myself, just playing on my own for 20 minutes before I pass the turn with 15 lands in play, because I life from the loan 6 times in one turn. And it's like, yeah, okay, Dredge is kind of stupid.
Yeah, it's crazy. The what are your I think we talked about this maybe before, but what are your like go-to commander decks? Like, what do you run?
Here's where, like, hey, you know how everyone hates the killers I play? Yeah, you haven't seen shit.
One day we'll get to meet up and we'll be able to play Magic.
My deck of choice, my favorite deck, has been. I built it during lockdown and played it. First, I played it out of lockdown. I've stuck with it basically loyally ever since. Is a Stacks deck. It is Liesa Shroud of Dusk from Commander Legends.
Oh, okay.
2 white black 5/5 flying lifelink. Command attacks paid life instead of mana. And whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life.
Yeah, I
got
a buddy who runs that as a commander, but it's not like it's sort of like a budget angel deck, like what he could put together.
Yeah, it's fair. Mine is like, hey, I will I think my favorite curve of that deck in recent memory was going turn 2 Thalia Guardian of Thraben, turn 3 Kambal, turn 4 the new Sheoldred.
Yeah,
turn 5 Liesa, turn 6 Armageddon.
Jesus, that's so gross.
Yeah, you haven't lived until you've seen somebody pay 10 life for a brainstorm.
I would pay 10 life for a brainstorm.
Because you have Kambal, Sheoldred, and Liesa in play. They pay a single blue, they lose 4 life for casting the spell, and 6 more for drawing the cards.
Yep.
And he looked at me. This poor guy looked at me like I just poisoned him, and I kind of had. But I have tons of EDH decks. I'm always working on something new. My newest build is Green-Blue Merfolk.
Oh, okay.
It's Kumena from Rivals of Exile.
Oh, yeah. I always thought it was
Kumena, Tyrant of Arazka.
Kumena.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Wait, no.
I got to cast Back to Basics on a 5-color mana base yesterday. That felt amazing.
Oh, that's so gross.
He was playing Sliver Overlord. And he tapped out to cast, like, some slivers, I guess. So I just go, cool, Back to Basics. He didn't have any basic lands. Not a single one.
Jesus.
And I think he burned, 2 counters and an Assassin's Trophy on it. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. But right now, my current project is the new Elesh Norn. Because being irritating is something I like to do, apparently. But the deck is also dirt cheap to build. I got very lucky, actually, because I put some out my old binders and stuff to fill out this deck. I pulled out Illuminate Primordial, but behind it, I found a copy of Smothering Tide that I traded for 3 years ago.
Wow.
That I just forgotten that I traded for. And it happens to go amazingly in the Elesh Norn deck. So I was like, I guess I'm adding Smothering Tide to the deck now. Because why not?
Such a crazy good card.
It really, really is. What do you tend to play? What's your weapon of choice?
So I like just having usually weird decks. I usually like to have like one meme deck. I famously before had a Nekusar deck.
He's my first.
I would wheel the shit out of the table, like constantly. But I took it apart. I was gonna rebuild it, and then I was like, I don't know. I like trying stuff new. I haven't gotten to rebuild decks. It being winter, it's a little harder for me to get to game nights with some of the guys I know. So my current decks, I believe, I have a Coma Serpent deck, which is it's not a control deck. At least it's not in the way that people want to build Coma. I made it a Serpent deck that has like no serpents.
Oh,
because like I realized, and out of spite, I continued to build it, even though I realized there's so many snakes, but there's like no serpents.
Yeah,
and it's like, this is ridiculous. But
it really is.
But yeah, there's that, and then I have a Tazri deck, the party Tazri. That
that was really interesting actually.
I haven't upgraded it with any of like the pre-con party stuff, which I want.
The Legacy Masters pre-con.
Yeah, or well,
the one where like half the cards break Legacy.
Yeah, pretty much. But the I've been wanting to play that more. Basically, I had a friend who plays like a lot more like finely tuned decks, and was like, let me play this deck, and was getting mad that he wasn't able to play like any like good cards because it was like just jank of like party mechanics shoved in, and then entering the dungeon, and like, and then I got laughed at me because like, I guess I'm gonna do this to you. And I was like, what, are you gonna... And he tapped one white. I'm like, oh, are you gonna path my creature? And he fucking throws down this... Oh, I gotta find it. I have an altar of... I got like a proxy made of this one card. But it's instead of Path to Exile, it's to the Columbo dimension. And it's like one of the, like, my favorite cards. I also have Tireless Tracker as a Columbo reskin.
That's so good. That's so damn good. Yeah, I've got about 14 EDH decks at all of like different power levels because I'm a really compulsive tinkerer. Mm-hmm. Like, I will always be working on something in the background, but it gets to a point now when I've built and deconstructed so many decks that now building new ones is very easy to do because I have so many bits just lying around. Yeah. Like the fact that I was able to just pull out a Recruiter of the Guard and a Panharmonicon and Eldrazi Displacer out of Elesh Norn without needing to buy them or trade for them because I just had them from old decks I used to build. Mm-hmm. Makes building new ones so much easier.
Yeah, here, I'm gonna send you some. I found pictures of the. I'll throw some of them up on screen. These are some of them I have. I did commission art from a couple people that I also used on my proxies. I also asked them after I commissioned it. I did ask one mutual on Twitter who did Gabriel fan art, and I was like, "Can I use this for like a card proxy?" And they're like, "Yeah, if you send me pictures." I was like, "Fuck yeah, I will." So I have Gabriel Devil Incarnate as my Ob Nixilis, the adversary altar.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And I was like, "Fuck yeah." Also, May, one of my favorite artists that I follow on Twitter, and I will 100% shill her art. I requested Alesha art like forever.
Oh, that Alesha's stunning.
And I was like, I came back like a year later. I was like, "Hey, can I use this art on this thing? I will send pictures. Like, I just want your permission because I technically don't own the art. I just want to make sure." And they're like, "Yeah, cool." I was like, "Awesome." And then I have this minty one that one of these, or a pair of these, are in my Brea. Oh, it's not sending. Cringe.
Oh, I used to have Brea. I remember that fairly well.
Yeah, I do have a Brea. It's not a very good Brea, but it's a Brea.
That's so,
yeah, exactly. I was like,
I love that. Minty, legend.
I remember the art, and I spent like an hour digging through Minty's posts.
That's so damn good.
Yeah, Grip of Phyresis. I played a lot of these cards in my decks, and someone, like a friend, borrowed my decks. They're like, "What are you running?" I was like, "I don't know. What do you think?" Yeah,
that's gorgeous because I tend to build high power decks, just because the play group I'm in naturally. Like, I've got a lot of CDH players in my locality.
I've been interested in CDH because they are super approving of proxies, and also like being crazy sounds fun.
My group's really loving it. Really is pro proxy. Like, I don't tend to buy more than one copy of a high value card if I can get away with it.
You need to be in competitive EDH. Like, you need to be like pro proxy, because otherwise it's just like it's like you got like a glass onion type group, like the elite of the elite.
Yeah, it's like oh yeah. What do you mean your full card doesn't have all the original duels?
Yeah, exactly.
But like that's why I have Liaise. It's why I loving playing Stacks, because it's the deck that is cheap to build. I can have all these fancy nice looking cards that are also fairly inexpensive, and contend with higher power tables. The deck itself probably actually is, because it's built in ways that punish the way CEDH players play. Like, the number of people I've seen conceding on turn 2 or 3 because I stuck like a Thalia Guardian or a Thraben or a Drowned Magistrate or something, and just watch the light fade from their eyes because they've realised that whatever horrible degenerate plan they had just doesn't work anymore. Like, I think my favourite one recently was I was going before the guy next to me. I just play planes and pass. They belch out 4 mana rocks, don't play their land because they get to 0-9 hand with a load of free rocks, and I untap and play a Kataki War's Wage.
I'm trying to remember what that is.
It's a 2/1. It's from one of the old Kamigawa sets. It's a 2/1 legendary spirit. All artifacts give you upkeep. Sacrifice it and let's pay 1.
Oh.
It's Tabernacle for artifacts.
That's so funny.
So he just sits there tapping his entire mana base because it's all artifacts. Because no land passes. It's a beautiful thing to watch someone do something like that and just see them crumble completely.
Jeez.
Or like CDH players losing because their Thrasers got exiled by a savior of Ollenbock. It's like, I am beating death with annoying little white creatures. That's all I need to do.
Magic's a funny game. It
truly
is. It's a funny game.
Like, I always want to talk about it on my channel a bit more, but it's challenging because, again, breaking out the DBD sphere is so difficult to do.
Yeah, it's the audience won't follow you there.
No,
but
they
like
won't.
Also there's no real guarantee that people are gonna find the content either. Magic content's weird because it's not that it doesn't that like really high quality like non-gameplay content doesn't exist. It's the fact that it's really hard for it to gain traction, especially now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are already set in stone. Like, I believe somewhere out there there's like the second wave, like the second coming of another Ristic study, like a Ristic studies like channel, right?
Yeah.
But like we already have Ristic studies, so people are like less likely.
And Spice as well, who's kind of like Ristic 1.5.
Yeah, like I like Spice's content a lot, and I'm really glad that there's someone who's like putting a lot of these like real life analytical things alongside Magic content as well. Like the Yawgmoth video especially it's
gorgeous,
incredible work. And then also like there's the Domri raid and the Anarchy one as well. That was really good.
The ACAP video.
It was also just very funny to see the whole like Domri raid is just like not even anarchist. It's just like a fucking weirdo,
angry child.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
and just kind of dismantling the whole common perception of like what anarchy is compared to like what it actually like it is.
I think Spice is probably the biggest inspiration for my work. Genuinely,
I think you told me about this. I
think it's between like there's Spice, like people like Ryan Hollinger, who he I don't know if you guys aren't aware, he is a horror YouTubesman. Mm-hmm. Makes very, very, very like excellent in-depth reviews and like analysis of older horror movies. And also Roby, because I love his editing style and his comic delivery. He's a good friend of mine. Those three pushed me in the direction I'm in today, and I fucking love it. I'll never forget it.
I think what was it? I remember following. I have a Future Sight Avon Mind Sensor signed by Ristic Studies from Ristic Studies, but this was before he went by Ristic Studies. This is when he went by Magic Man Sam.
I remember those days.
Yeah, and it's weird, and I actually don't know where that card is, and I probably should find it.
Also, Aiden Mindset's a good taste.
Aiden Mindset is a cool card.
Yeah. It's just runs good memories of just playing stacks. Like I have an opposition agent.
Yeah.
In Liesa, that thing is my lucky charm. It every time I get somebody with it, I get them to sign it, and you basically can't see the card anymore, because it's caught so many people doing really dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's eaten a Nissa who shakes the world ultimate before. Which is search your library for a number of forests, put them into the battlefield. Mm-hmm. So I just grabbed his deck and took out 21 basic forests, and then gave them to his girlfriend at the next table. I've hit Winds of Abandon with it, again, just stealing all the lands from out their deck.
Yeah.
I hit a Shadowborn Apostle. You know, they're like, exile card from graveyard, search your library for a number of cards to share a name with and put it into your hand.
Jeez. That's so
I hit a Shadowborn Apostles deck with that, so stole all the Shadowborn Apostles out of the deck. Like, I adore Opposition Agent, and like, sorry, this was a hell of a tangent, but I just, I hear even Mind Sensor cards like that. It sparks great joy in my soul, my twisted black heart.
There's the, what was it? I know we're talking about cards, but I also am very curious. I know you, and you also did talk a lot about Vraska. Like, is there a specific planeswalker that you think that you enjoy the most, like design wise, card wise, like character wise? Like, is there anyone that like?
I'd say it's a tie between two. There is Vraska Relic Seeker, and there is Kaya Ghost Assassin.
Oh, Kaya is such a cool character.
I adore both of them. They are fantastic. I like the cheating answer here would be Aminatu because I have an Aminatu deck that I really enjoy, but I think it's got to be between the OG Kaya and Big Vraska. The Vraska's design is so elegant. Like the more you play with it, the more you like just understand the card, the more elegant it feels.
Yeah, it's. I even remember I had a Beckett Brass commander deck before, and it was like all pirates. It was Grixis pirates, and I remember every single time I would pull it out, I would ask the table beforehand, "Is it okay if I have Vraska in the deck?" Because I was like, "This is a flavor. It's a flavor thing. Yeah. I have ways to make green mana. I don't have any I don't have any green lands. It's treasure." And usually the answer is, yeah, why not? Sure. It's like one planeswalker that has like some synergy, but like realistically is just there for the flavor. Like I'm not there for the like crazy big combo.
It makes you a pirate.
It makes me a pirate with menace, and then also like it gives me like maybe like I think her plus ability gives me like a card, right? It's been a while since I played.
Her plus ability gives you a 2/2 and menace, a pirate, and her -3 I think destroys thing and it's treasure token.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's very interesting. I think I think mine would have to be like a tie between like. Oh man, that's actually really rough. Now I think about it, I should. There's a lot of characters I really like.
No,
Here's the thing. I got Minty a little bit into Magic, and just by explaining lore, not like by like playing the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, here's my Scrimblows and how fucked up they are right now. Like that's basically been like every single time I talk about Magic characters, because all my favorite characters are usually end up dying or something horrible happens to them. Example, Jason Vraska. I'm like, yeah, I like them. They're cool now. Oh no, they're all fucked up and they might die. Who knows? I don't know. I wouldn't put it past Wizards of the Coast to like kill off characters now, because like they got really bad like rep for like War of the Spark doing nothing.
Yeah,
they killed Dak Faden off like, are like, okay, now you like pissed off 30 fans.
Yeah,
and I'm one of them, and I'm mad.
Also, we've just had 2 more legendary creature leaks from War we won. Just had 2
right now.
Yeah, literally, a friend messaged me. He's like, "Hey, look, it's a new Azurian Glisser."
Oh, I see it. It's at the top of my Reddit right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate these images. They're so fucking bad.
Yeah, they are. They are not great.
Stalker Spheres when it is to make proliferate twice. Fuck, I hate this. I hate proliferate.
Simic moment. Fucking
me when Simic. I have bad card design that's all the same as all the other Simic cards.
Yes, that's why my Simic deck is Merfolk, because I want to do something interesting with it.
Yeah, I hope that if we go back to like Tarkir, because it seems like all the former cons, or not former cons, but the ones who would be cons, who would have been cons are gonna be like enemy colors. Like Zergo's gonna be white red.
I can see it.
And I think about it and I'm like, Serac would be blue green then. And I
Yeah,
think about it and it's like
that's weird
that's
to
like
think
a
of.
cool opportunity to do something different with blue green that isn't draw a card, isn't counters, and like I mean hell, make it like Sagu Mahler, where give us another chance to like make Sagu Mahler work.
Yes, Sagu Mahler, my boy.
There's so many funny things about Tarkir that happened that people were excited about, and they just like completely 180'd. Everyone sees Savage Knuckleblade. Teamer's gonna be crazy this set, guys. It's gonna dominate standard. No, Siege Rhino. It's just gonna be Siege Rhino.
Yeah. Can we get an F in the chat for Big Nux? He's unfortunately got, it was in the same block as Siege Rhino.
Yeah.
An unfortunate place to be. I got excited today because I saw the new Mother of Runes that got spoiled.
Oh really? Oh yeah.
It's
it's that. I think that card got like leaked a while back too, didn't it?
I must have missed it, but I only saw it this morning. I was like, "Ooh, new Mother of Runes!" In my Thalia loving heart, another Mother of Runes is always a good thing to have in your life.
So did you see like before like the leaks and everything came out, like the W theory for like the completed walkers?
Yes, I did.
Where it's like, oh, it's gonna be Jace, it's gonna be Nissa, it's gonna be Kaya, it's gonna be Vraska, and then it's gonna be Luca because it makes it W.
Well, they're mostly right.
Well, and then people are like, oh, I guess it disproved it. It's in right now. I'm looking at a Reddit post that's like, we literally missed the fact that they're just listed alphabetically. That's like the most speculative like magic shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
That is DBD player levels of navel gazing. It's beautiful.
It's so funny. It's like so perfect for like just in general. Oh
really?
Man, Magic's in a very weird spot. I'm very interested in what it does narratively because like I feel like this is their redemption arc for like War of the Spark not having like proper stakes.
Yeah, and then War of the Spark Forsaken being so bad that they killed Magic Story for a year.
Yeah, pretty much. What's crazy is they've had a really strong, what I would consider a strong comeback. I love Brothers War Story. Like I love the new Brothers.
As do I. I think Brothers War's been the best set in a long time.
It like the depiction finally like showing the war from like angles that weren't like Urza or Mishra or like any of the big wigs on top. Like even the ground level stuff. Like my favorite story probably was the ones where they're in the trenches that like were set like, at the very start of the war like years ago.
Absolutely.
And then like it's so cool that like we got a story that like really focused on like a lot more human elements like that. And then there's close second is literally just the scene where Teferi talks to Urza. Having like I actually got like chills like when I was reading Urza because it's like I'm actually reading Urza that isn't like old text that was written in like the old books because it's like he's never really because he's just he's the impression all we have of him now is the impression he left behind, like directly or indirectly.
Yeah.
And then like him talking to Teferi was great, and like the whole realization that like he does remember Teferi, he just didn't know who Teferi was.
Yeah. The whole like nostalgia of Brothers War that kind of has brought that murky old kind of shit lore into a much brighter and like it modernized it in an intelligent way. It made me now want to have a kind of quote unquote nostalgia set again, but this time for the Fall of the Throne.
Yeah, I would be interested.
Like imagine early days of like Yawgmoth and Gix and Glacian and Rebek. Oh, that'd be like done in the style of Brothers War.
That'd be interesting.
Because you're such an important character, and I always feel like all the Thran stuff, aside from being in the novels, a lot of which were not very good, it's the kind of thing that deserves another look. Like I want to see an actual card for Dyfed. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Let Dyfed do something.
There's just like I think I miss when like supplemental sets came out and they were like it was like conspiracy level shit. Like I think I want conspiracy back. I'll be real. I
me
love
too.
Conspiracy.
Fiora's a beautiful plane.
And also like that's also where we got Kaya, which was super cool. Also,
Yeah.
I like Kaya because her design's not like outlandish. She just has like a brown coat. She's kind of just vibing, and she has.
Yeah, I adore Kaya.
I also love the repeating joke. She's a ghost assassin, not a ghost that is an assassin, and an assassin that kills ghosts.
Yeah. We all talking like conspiracy level stuff from supplemental sets. It reminded me of the plane I want to go back to more than any other. And it's Alara.
Oh yeah, we haven't gone
because like ever since the Commander set started coming out, we've had tons of little hints about what's going on in Alara.
Yeah,
like Breya has finally discovered the secrets of Carmot. And then I basically strip mining Jund for the resources, and I want to see, especially because Esper was kind of as a shard ignored during the actual events of the shard block.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to Alara and see like how life goes on for the people of Alara post conflux. I want to see there's even the story of like Cass in Commander 2017.
Yeah,
where she's like trying to find the last vestiges of this to try and restore Grixis to what it used to be. Like these are some really interesting character stories that indicate something big. That there are stories that to tell on Alara. Like a lot has happened on Alara since we've been gone. I want to go back to it. Plus,
sorry,
like, we don't have we don't have shard sets very often.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice.
I think that might be like that feels like it might be like a next like big plot thing because like that's not something to just like go over in like one set. And
yeah.
It feels
especially because Tezzeret's there now.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in what Tezzeret does now because I like that they're actually giving him a chance to be because he's always been like a lackey, really. Like, I mean, he's had some motivations, but like now he's basically completely free of Bolus, and he's like, okay, well, now that I do this, I can bail the hell out. And he's just, and like realistically, he doesn't have anything else holding him back. He just wants the Darksteel body. That way, he is borderline indestructible, essentially.
Yeah. Other than that, was kind of left alone on Alara to do it on Esper to do his own thing.
Mm-hmm. I think it'd be really funny to get like a one loyalty Tezzeret that's indestructible that like slowly builds up to an ultimate.
Yeah.
That sounds like really scary. Actually, I don't know if I want that.
Well, indestructible Planeswalker doesn't work quite the way you might hope because dealing damage to Planeswalkers, even if indestructible, still makes them lose loyalty. Which is why Gideon's turn to creatures always say prevent damage to be dealt to it, so it doesn't lose loyalty in combat.
Yeah.
But I see what you. That's me being pernickety. I absolutely see what you see. What you.
I mean, it would still prevent like any direct destroy effects. Which does help.
Yeah, and getting more prominent lately, so it would certainly help.
It's very, very interesting.
Just like give us planeswalkers that are actually artifacts.
I feel like that makes them way too vulnerable in the long run.
But it also needs some really powerful synergies. Like imagine getting a Karn or a Tezzeret off of Fabricate.
Yeah, that's like, actually
yes,
really
please.
Gross.
Yes, please. I want to do that.
Oh, man.
Sculpting steel, copy Karn.
That's so funny to think about.
If only. Well, we've seen a creature planeswalker. We've seen Grist.
Yeah, well, it counts as that is a good point. If you make Tezzeret count as an artifact anywhere, or you make
you should just Grist that shit.
Yeah, I think Tezzeret would get the best use out of it because he has so much artifact synergy almost always. Anyway.
Yeah. Although I could certainly see Karn. I could certainly see Karn having it.
Yeah, that's true. The I'm trying to think what do you think about the fact that like after all this they're like, yeah, we finally confirmed like Jace Vraska. They're like Jace loves Vraska and they're fucked up now. And then Wizard of the Coast at the same time we're like, hey, yeah, I know we've had a troubled time trying to get Nissa and Chandra together. But what if we fucked up Nissa and
Nissa
just
as
let
well.
Chandra to rot?
Well, see, honestly, the way I don't think Nissa Chandra was ever that good. Like, not because of any sort of like nefarious shit, just because I think the two were not good together.
I just
like,
don't think they gave him like anything to work with.
Like, genuinely, I think Adeline, who was like Chandra's new love interest introduced in the like Innistrad 3, has way better chemistry with Chandra than Nissa ever did. Way better chemistry. Did you read the Innistrad, the new Innistrad block stories?
Honestly, I found it really weird to follow. I don't remember if I even like retained a lot of the info, other than like the key, like, oh, the Moonsilver key. Edgar woke up. You get married. Oh yeah, Eternal Moon. The wolves were doing some fuck shit with it. And then Arlen was sad that the pack was gone, and then she went and beat the shit out of Tolivar.
Yeah, but like, yeah. Again, I didn't pay much attention to actual plot-related stuff. I was there for the cool character things, like Teferi meeting Ren.
Yeah, no, that was super cool. I like Ren a lot.
Yeah, I was mostly like I'm excited to see the characters I think are cool, do cool things on my favorite plane. That was all I really cared about. But Adeline and Chandra get together in the Midnight Hunt Crimson Vow storyline. And I also those two had better chemistry than Chandra ever did with Nissa. Because Nissa always felt like because she had other things going on.
Yeah, I mean, like Nissa has always been like kind of distracted with like other things, like Zendikar being the first thing. Yeah,
and that's why she'd have to Gatewatch. But I'm way more on board with Adeline and Chandra. Way more on board with it.
I do kind of. I think honestly, Magic is like a lot of stakes don't feel real because they have to be like super like huge, like the Phyrexians or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But like they need to like the reason why I think Khans was so strong, or Tarkir in general, is it was such an intense focus on the legendary creatures, the people of the world that had a stake.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they weren't concerned with like other things. Like Sorin being on Tarkir is a literal afterthought. Like he's just there, and he like makes one vampire that isn't like natural vampire to Tarkir, and it's like, okay, that's weird.
He just fancied a sample of the local cuisine.
Yeah, I do like the token that they made for that. It's just like a orc Mardu that's just like floating there because they're like, oh shit, he is flying. Okay,
let's just have him be in the air then. Simply be in the air.
Yeah,
stupid.
I am glad that like I started playing around the time when they revealed Ugin as like the voice in Sarkhan's head. That's cool. I actually got really upset when I was reading the Tarkir story for the first time, and it got to like Sarkhan, like, you know, he goes back, he fixes shit, comes back, and he's like, okay, I gotta find Narset, and she's gone because she basically got kicked out, and Taigam is a dickhead. Yeah. So when isn't he really?
Taigam moment.
And then he finds out she's a planeswalker, and it's like Narset's like his only, really his only friend, the only person who never manipulated him. And he's like, hey, so like we knew each other in another life, and like I know that you're a planeswalker, and you know, I can like help you out. And she's like cautious about it, but she's like, okay. And he's just glad that she's fine. And then I think later we got confirmation that they're friends. Because they are both part of Tamio's story circle, which is no longer a thing because like everyone in the fucking story circle keeps dying or gets fucked
dead
up.
Or is complicated.
Everyone in that story circle is like my favorite character, and they keep getting fucked up. Like I was a huge Elspeth fan, and then she fucking dies.
Well, and then she comes back. Elspeth's fine now. I honestly think Elspeth could be like one of the new big players of.
I think so. She has some good moments. She had some good moments in Brothers War that I think are setting her up to do some cool stuff. Plus, she has I'm not a fan of her constantly getting a MacGuffin weapon because it feels like
he's got a little cabinet of them now.
Because like
there's a Luxior and the Shadow Spear.
As a character, it feels cheap.
I think this is why I like the idea that at least by the looks of it in Phyrexia, Jace has the Luxior now.
Yeah,
like complicated Jace has it.
A part of me is wondering if completed Jace uses that to like sacrifice himself for like a bad reason.
Maybe I could
Because like
if
he still retains his knowledge, so let's
that's
say
bad
let's say
news for everybody who likes not being oily.
Let's say there's a set amount of sparkly halo or whatever in the elixir or whatever to like cure it, and he like wasted it all on himself or desparks himself, or whatever. Then he's stuck on whatever world he is on, because there's that alternate art where he has the elixir.
Presumably it's new Phyrexia because Elspeth's there.
Well, we know March of the Machines is coming because Wizards of the Coast can't keep a secret, and
no, they really
have to
can't.
announce
they are ready to go.
We have March of the Machines, and we have March of the Machines Aftermath, which we already have key art for, so we know what worlds it takes place on, at least minimum.
All of them.
No, well, it's like they have their own world tree, or called World Breaker, or whatever they're calling it, and it's like connecting multiple planes. We know it's Theros, Zendikar, Kamigawa, and I think one other world.
Kaladesh.
I don't think it's Kaladesh. Actually, I think it's
what am I saying Kaladesh because Baral is? I'm only saying that Kaladesh because Baral is in one of the key arts of March of the Machines.
Is he?
Yeah, he is. I'll show
Kaladesh. You. Oh yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. He's like
Baral's in the background.
Yeah, but I do know it's also Strixhaven, I believe, as well.
That makes sense. So listen, that's why I thought Tyvar was going to get complicated. Because that would basically let them, because obviously he's Mr. World Tree Man.
Yeah, he's there. He would be able to understand like how it would function.
Yeah, that's why I thought he'd be able to complete it.
Well, they already have like basically everything they need. It's more just getting things in motion. Which is like, and because Alice Norton is in the key art, we know she doesn't die in Phyrexia all we won. Which I was kind of, part of me
Queen
thinks that like. Was thinking that she might be like a martyr type figure or whatever. Like I kind of hope they go for an angle where Phyrexia is played off more as the heroes, like in the sense of like that's quite literally what they see themselves as, rather than just like a super villain.
Oh, absolutely! Like, honestly, that's just how I believe they are anyway.
Yeah. Like that's why I want to see like Jace sacrifice himself for evil because he's a bad guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I could so see it.
Like, because that'd be so heart wrenching. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Also, have you seen what the precon that implies that Atraxa's gone?
So I understand, from what I understand, the translation, the way they use descendant or whatever is similar to, or a disciple or whatever is similar to more like a prodigy or like a passive, like a follower in a sense.
Yeah, because I thought it meant like successor, like something had happened to Atraxa and it's just like, hey, we made a shitty other one. This is the Atraxa we have at home.
We made a shitty other one.
But like, I'd be surprised if Atraxa in some way does not factor in somewhere. Because that was a big character they brought into a commander set, a big and popular character. Like Atraxa's very
character
popular.
that also had a lot of implications of like the Praetors working together, other than Urabrask, because Urabrask doesn't fuck with
which again actually got paid off in the story because Urabrask was working against the others.
I think Atraxa was found on the collector's edition art for the box by packaging. I could be wrong on that, but that's where I remember hearing about it. There's a chance we'll see Atraxa, like it as like a mythic, probably.
I'd be like, it wouldn't surprise me if there's like a set boot. You know, where every set like a set booster exclusive legendary creature.
I don't know.
Like,
I'm not gonna look at like their charts of like what cards are exclusive and what kinds of packs.
No, that's fine. I actually keep track of it because there's always like one oddball legend that comes up every set that just comes up in the set boosters.
Yeah.
Like the Nightmare and Horror Lord from Crimson Vow. And I suspect that's gonna be like, hey, a little bonus one. Here's a new Atraxa, or a reprint of the original Atraxa.
They could reprint. If they reprint Atraxa, that'd be fucking terrifying.
Yeah, but notably, that would be unable to be in standard because that card would break standard in half.
Yeah, no, is this just 4 mana?
Yeah, she's one of each color except red for 4
keywords
and 4 with 4 keywords and proliferates Iron Step.
God, that's so gross.
I kind of thought I'm tempted to just build Phyrexian Tribal now. Now Phyrexian's a creature type.
Yeah. With
Atraxa, just like, hey, this is my Atraxa deck, but it's just actual all Phyrexians.
I think you're still gonna get targeted.
It would still be really, really good, but it needs to be an interesting way of building Atraxa.
That's true.
Yes, I'm going to play Phyrexian Scooter because it's Phyrexian, so fuck it.
We're also still waiting on the cinematic trailer for Phyrexia, aren't we?
Well, technically, the spoilers haven't started yet.
Yeah, well, but there's going to be a cinematic trailer. We have a teaser, which looked really pretty, and I'm excited to see what. I love the trailers. I think New Capenna was honestly a little bit of a cop out because
I don't think I ever saw New Capennas.
It was fine. I don't know. I wanted to see like more like things, more like actual people moving around rather than just like statues and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, I'm really hoping for like seeing people more like 3D animated models and stuff.
Yeah. The Brothers War one was so good.
It was good, but it had nothing to do with like the story. Like none of that happened.
It was kind of a prelude, you know. It was kind of like contextualizing it in the wider thing.
Yeah.
I like what it did.
At least this time they at least this time it wasn't like the Ajani situation where like the story for like Ajani becoming a sleeper agent was released and then like an hour later they did a live stream reveal of him being a sleeper agent, which spoiled it for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but you know, that's how it do be.
Skill issue.
I do remember them what was it? They put out because like Wizards of the Coast is located in Seattle or in Washington, like which is the state I live in the States. And in the Seattle Times, the newspaper, they put out an obituary for Jaya when she died. And you could go to the website and pay your respects, and you saw like a bunch of quote signatures from other planeswalkers. And you could click pay respects and it would throw a rose onto it. Or you could press F and it would still do the same thing. Oh man. Oh, I'm really hoping that they don't drop the ball with the Phyrexia storyline. I'm looking forward to it, but
likewise, Magic Story's been on kind of riding high for a little bit. So I'm wanting to give them some good, because Dominaria United was really good, Brothers War was really good, and Phyrexia directly tied to both of those. So cross fingers. I see no reason to believe it's going to be bad. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, another thing also that's interesting is that so like everyone's like, oh man, these planeswalkers are all going to get completed or whatever, and it's like one thing I keep thinking about is like they don't say if some of these people might just die in the set or the next one, because completed isn't dead technically, but like you know someone could just die. Like I mean realistically, like Kaya could just get murked and not be completed.
I hope not. I love Kaya.
I hope not either, because I love Kaya too.
Kaya, my beloved.
And then there's the next set, which is March of the Machines, and they're going to multiple planes, so who knows what's going to happen with that.
Standard legal plane chase.
That'd actually be kind of tight, though. That would be really cool. Oh my god!
Because Rosewater did say like there's going to be something matters happening both in story and mechanically. So genuinely, you might get standard legal plane chase.
That would be interesting. Putting like actual like imagine like what if they just like retooled how like world enchantments worked and turned them into like plane.
I could see that actually. I could really see like, hey, world enchantments are back. The game
steadily turns into the chaotic card game where they have like location cards and shit.
Yeah. Like, hey, here's our standard legal planar deck with this pile of plane enchantments.
I wouldn't I'd play more
standard. Like the contraption deck in Unstable.
I love Unstable. I went to a pre-release for that. That was super fun.
So did I practiced card throw for a week because of Slaying Mantis. And in my draft, I got 3 of them.
There's a photo of me somewhere. If I can find it, I'll put it on screen. But like I bought like maybe a total of like 3 boxes, and I split them with a friend. And we were drafting one of the boxes at his older brother's, and there's a photo of me with my cheek to the table because I had Head Saucer in play, and I had my 2 fingers standing up because I had handy dandy duplication machine.
Oh, okay.
And I also think I had I think I had split screen, so I had 4 libraries.
Oh my god!
So I'm sitting there with like this like absurd board state. And I'm just sitting there.
Unstable, such a good set.
It was super fun. I enjoyed that a ton.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I think did you open any Unfinity?
No, I wasn't really interested in it. Honestly, the whole sticker thing I felt like was really boring. I wasn't.
I think it was really. I didn't think it needed to exist, and it certainly didn't need to exist in Black Border.
I think the acorn stamp is like the worst mistake they've ever made. Like,
it's
honestly,
really bad.
Because like there's printing errors, which I don't trust. Like if it's if it's as common as like I kept seeing.
Because I impulse bought a collector pack because it was on sale because no one was buying them, and I got a full overgrown tomb.
Oh my god, nice.
So like, you know, I'm not complaining. A 10 out of 10 set, no complaints.
Mm-hmm. Like I know they were like, oh, we gotta make money back on, like, you know, we gotta make sure people are buying the set by giving them black border cards. Sure, but like, don't, like, why'd you get rid of the silver border?
Yeah, like, and also like, why are stickers in regular, like, eternal legal? Why?
Do you know, like, the rules for like stickers and like legacy and stuff like that?
I do. It's really, really fucked.
It makes no sense. It's like I had them explained to me, and I still barely understand it, and like why it was necessary by any means.
It's just the worst. It's clear that it's wanting to shoehorn their funny flagship mechanic into being part of the game, so people would buy it. But I just doesn't sit right with me. Like, admittedly, some of the legends being like legal is actually really sick. Like the attraction ones, I really like the like what is it, Myra, and some of the other ones like that are actually, these are great things to print in regular games. But I'd say more the exception than the rule. Kind of similar to the alchemy cards, where it's like these could have been made to work in paper fairly easily, but they're just sitting perpetually on them just to make this so that you can excuse to print them on Arena.
Like I kind of want to. The only card that like I was like genuinely interested in to build like a commander thing out of was the most deadliest gamer or whatever, or the
most dangerous gamer.
Yeah, and I was like, I just love the fact that that's like a card name, like a real card name. But I have a bunch of like unstable, and I've wanted to make like an uncube for like a long time. And I've had people say, oh, you should get Infinity stuff, and it's like, I really don't want to put stickers in a cube. Like
stickers are cringe.
I think they're like, and like I was even resisting against attractions because I was like, I thought they were. I was like, I don't know. It seems so much more complicated. And it's like, and people were telling me like, well, you already want to put in contraptions, and so like, what about attractions? And I'm like, it's just like a whole nother layer that doesn't interact on top of each other.
Yeah,
and it's like that's my biggest concern.
Yeah, like I always wish that attractions and contraptions shared a common like graveyard for the two of them because they're very similar.
I mean, if attractions go to the scrapyard, then it's the same graveyard. I
don't know if they have
that's what the contraption graveyard is called. It's called the scrapyard.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the one that attractions go to. I'm going to check that now because now I'm interested. They go to the junkyard.
Oh, okay.
Which is different from the scrapyard, which is stupid. It should be the same graveyard. Fuck it.
Yeah, this is so silly. Well, this has been going on for like 3 hours.
It's been a long, yeah.
I think this is a good point to end. I was kind of
absolutely. It's always interesting. We have so many common interests.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising because I remember it was like, oh, Pixel likes Magic. That's crazy. And I was like, oh wow, you really like Magic. Finally, someone else who's like, because I can't go off about like lore to like basically anyone.
Yeah, so I feel exactly the same. Like, even the other Magic players that I know don't know anything about the lore or the story.
I think what's funny is that like anyone I know that is like has any like interest in like narrative, like a heavy narrative in like one topic, somehow always finds themselves into Magic.
Yeah.
You know, have you noticed that pattern in other people that are like,
no,
oh,
I completely get it. Like even my friend Nick, who's the guy who got me into Magic, is literally as we speak live tweeting, is like live messaging me on Messenger about the Horus Heresy 40k audiobook.
I was gonna say, like Warhammer especially is like anyone's like, yeah, I know a bit about Warhammer lore, like this faction, and like they're always into Magic. Like at some point they were like, yeah, I know about this. I followed the lore.
Yeah, Warhammer was my entire like teenage life until I was like maybe 16, 17. I was big into Warhammer, like, and that evolved into Magic when Warhammer got like went sideways.
It's the nerd pipeline, man.
Oh, absolutely, it's horrifying.
All right, I think this is a good point to call it here.
I'd agree.
I also I can feel myself getting a little tired because I stayed up.
I'm getting thirsty. I need to drink. My lips are chapped.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for talking.
It's been awesome being here. Just shooting the shit with a good buddy. It's awesome.
Course. It's always happy to talk, and
I always didn't know what we were going to talk about, and then it just all went okay. It's just, and then but like as it does with common interest, it just all flows and flows and flows.
Yeah, I kept thinking like, oh, I should probably like write down like general like, oh, I could bring this up, and it's like, yeah, but then it just feels like an interview. I wanted a conversation first and foremost. I wanted to just kind of let it go off, and thankfully we had eugenics to save the day. Bring us to do like an hour of magic.
Thank God for eugenics.
I mean, I can't really think of anything that we didn't really even just naturally flow into. Like,
it went very naturally.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out. It's really nice. It was really nice to like get like a really nice, proper, long conversation. I think every other time we've gotten to meet up was like in a voice chat, and like everyone else or somebody who was screaming, probably Ash.
Yeah.
Or it was late for me, or it was super late for you.
Yeah, it was all just wrong in some capacity.
Yeah,
but it is good to just be able to chat for ages.
Yeah, and not necessarily about Dead by Daylight, which I'm sure is what people would expect out of this.
Yeah,
where it's like, oh, horror and Dead by Daylight, you know, like, oh, whatever. I mean, like, I also want to know, like, you know, other people's interests and just see, like, kind of like what's on their mind or plate.
It's been excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, of course. I think I have one more question for you, though.
Of course.
Are you racist?
No.
All right. I don't know if I'm gonna cut before or after that.
I very